Welcome to the Nigel MacLean podcast. Speaking nothing but raw truth. So listen.
Real close. Pay attention.
Can you hear everything?
Yep.
It's all good?
Good.
Yeah. Just try to keep it like a fist from your face, like that distance.
Measure.
Yeah.
We're all good.
There you go. So what was that business called that you ran?
So I had a restaurant called Down Home Diner on Bayside Drive, and we did.
Was it like fish and chips?
Yeah.
Type deal?
Yeah, we specialized in seafood. We did obviously breakfast and lunch and fill in all the gaps. It was just little tiny place. We had 8 tables, very small, and it was really just to share our background of having like Newfoundland theme and whatnot. So it was great. It was 4 years. Oh, is this sliding off?
If you need to, you could you can pull them
tighter.
out or
I think it's sliding down my hair.
are you okay?
Yeah, all is
Okay.
good. Anyway, so we jumped on this wagon thinking, it was going to be the answer. And then it was great for the first few years. The last year was super rough.
Did it start to get bad as COVID came around or
No, it was long before that. I would say like the whole year of
So you
2019.
you didn't really get affected by it.
No,
You kind of got lucky that way.
definitely. Yeah. I mean, we were, I guess, affected by it, but in a different way. When people weren't even speaking about it here, when it was
Right.
prevalent in other countries.
Yeah, I heard about it on YouTube.
Yeah.
I was just like,
It wasn't in the news or anything yet.
the cooties look like a regular thing. And then, I mean, do you remember H1N1?
Yeah.
When that came out, it was like no one really even used Facebook then. It was just, I feel like it just got blown out of proportion more than anything. Because would that have even happened the same way? You know what I mean?
I don't think so. If we didn't
No.
have so much social media
Yeah.
and push on it all, I don't think that we would have seen all of this blow up the way it's blown up.
No, definitely not. Did you have another business going after that one?
So while I had that business, I actually had another business that I acquired called the Simple Pantry, and I did both of them. We owned the building at the time, so we did everything right out of the building. And then when I made the decision, 2019 was a tough year. You make your break at most businesses. You won't see anything until your 5th year in, especially in the restaurant business.
Oh, yeah.
So we were just about on the cusp to go into our 5th year.
It's quite the gamble.
It's always a gamble. You know what? There's nothing in life you're going to get if you don't take any risk. So
Yeah, you definitely have to take risk when
you
you're doing that.
have to take a risk.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, in 2019 was a tough year for us. We knew things were not going good in the economy. We could see things were changing.
Yeah.
In the industrial park, Irving taking their big building and moving all of their Irving small businesses into that affected us a lot because the majority of our business was people traveling into those businesses from outside of the country, regular.
Isn't it crazy?
travels.
It's like a domino effect.
100%.
Yeah. One thing happens and one thing leads to another.
And you don't really think about it. And you think, oh, it's just these small things. But so many of these small things can affect something in a very big way, which obviously we have now experienced for the last 2 years.
Yeah. Oh, I feel bad for these people who have these little businesses, mom and pop shops, I guess you'd call them.
Yes.
Some of them are getting shut down. It just doesn't make any sense to me to shut down all these little tiny businesses and then keep Walmart open.
Right.
And they're talking about it being safe, but let's cram 300, 400, 500 people into one place, and then that's better than
And call it better, right.
That's a cesspool. What are you talking about?
I agree.
And
I
then-
think, though, people don't realize
No.
that the only reason these businesses are as big as they are is because they relied on all these other small businesses.
Oh yeah, that's what keeps the
to
money
give them
going.
goods, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that keeps it going. So I think a lot of people just need to take a step back. The best thing you can suggest is go back to the small businesses. Go back to farmers.
Yeah.
Buy at little butchers instead of buying at,
industry
big
meat,
store boxes.
big industry stuff. I just never. It's not even good quality stuff.
No.
You know what I mean?
They're getting like the cheapest they can get
Yeah.
to sell it for the most. 'Cause
Literally.
it's all about profits, right?
And when you know the lives that those cows and pigs live, when you look at those massive fields where there's like no grass, it's just cages and like for all you can see animals.
Right.
And they just live this terrible life of just like nothing. They're all bumping into one another and it's like, oh, I don't even know if I want to eat that meat. That looks terrible to me.
Right.
It's so much better if it's like naturally organic. It's, you know, it's like hen eggs. Like there's hens that stay in this little tiny box their whole life. And then there's those free range ones that get to run around and
They have space. They have,
Yeah.
you know, an open range. A
Yeah.
lot of people don't realize the difference. But if they're not taught it, they're not going to learn
Yeah.
it either, right? And I think that's another thing, and obviously another conversation you can get into too about
yeah.
what people are learning in school. You know, the lack of farmers. Well, if we don't continue to have people learn anything in agriculture, then we won't have these things anymore.
yeah. Yeah, you don't want things to get too industrialized.
No, definitely not. But I mean, there's tons of things out there people can see and learn about it. We recently watched a couple. I can't remember the name of the show, but it's on Netflix, and it tells you about like how chicken farms are.
There's a really good one on there where it's this guy and his wife. They wanted to start this self-sustained run thing where everything just runs itself. It's like a whole ecosystem in a farm, and it took like 7 years I don't remember
build.
the name of it,
Yeah.
but yeah, it took like 7 years for like just the way that they had like a couple hawks or eagles or whatever, and they would take care of the mice, and there was just like this whole thing that was going on. It took like 7 years to happen. It's like, whoa, you know, like there should be more of that though, rather than big huge industries taking as much money as they can. It'd be so much better if it was divided up into little tiny.
Agreed. 100%.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I mean, people don't know about it.
No.
If they don't know what they don't know, right?
Right.
So they can only know what they're influenced or what they're taught.
And we're so reliant upon other places too. You know what I mean?
Well,
Like,
I mean,
how much-
Canada. What could we grow in Canada through the winter? Not very
You'd
much,
need
unless you have
massive
massive
warehouses.
greenhouses.
Yeah.
And there's lots of different ways you can do it. There's you know, aeroponic. There's all kinds of different ways. Obviously, we grow lots of things through the winter for other industries, but people just don't know it exists.
Weren't
you know?
I'm pretty sure it was you. Weren't you selling like healthy stuff or something like that?
Yeah, so I do Simple Pantry, which is energy balls and granola bars and protein bars.
Right.
So I just do it from natural ingredients. There's nothing processed.
Is that kind of like a booster juice?
No.
Like those little
Well, it
things
would
that
look
they
like
get?
those.
Something
yeah.
like that?
Yeah, definitely it would look like those. You know,
Okay.
they have like chia seeds, flax seeds, those types of things.
So what flavors do you have?
I do chocolate mint energy ball, a vanilla energy ball,
Oh, nice.
chocolate orange.
What do you use for vanilla? Like an extract or like actual vanilla bean?
Actual vanilla. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
I as pure products as you can get is
Oh, that sounds good.
always the best.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're hands down. Most people start and then they can't.
Have
they
you
can't
ever?
stop?
Yeah. Have you ever debated on? Have you had a storefront for it before?
No storefront. So when I owned both businesses at the same time, I sold to health food stores because it's all has to be regulated.
Right.
So you have to have somebody from the government come in and tell you you're making a safe product.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So and you have to have a space for it, and it has to be very separate from everything else.
Do you have to? Don't you have to like redo a food safety thing every 5 years or something like that? Doesn't it expire? Because
Yeah.
I had mine at one point, but it didn't last long, and you know.
Yeah, every few years. I don't know. It depends on who you take it through.
They change a lot too.
It changes quite a bit,
Yeah.
yes. I mean, it's great for anybody to learn those things. It's just basic things a lot of people probably
And
wouldn't think about.
They're extremely strict about keeping the meat on the lower shelf, and it's
Right.
like crazy. Why? Because like they showed some pictures as an example when I was taking that class, and or that course, and it's like, oh my god, like people actually let meat drip onto.
Right.
Oh, it's nasty.
But people don't think about those things. They just
Oh
think,
my-
oh, that's in a package. But I'm like, oh, yeah, but even in a package, you can still have
Yeah.
drips
So
from it.
you imagine back in the day in like Italy, or no, not Italy. They've always been good with food. Let's say like where the Spanish flu broke out, like over in the UK somewhere in England, where there's just garbage all over the street. They don't have refrigerators, and it's just all old meat. And
just hanging in a back room, right? Or in a cellar
Yeah.
to keep things cold.
All their knives and stuff. Like, what are they using? Water and salt to clean that? You know what I mean?
I don't know what they would have used then. But I mean, obviously, we have very high standards here in Canada. We are very fortunate.
But a
though.
world without dish soap, it's like, what is that
What
like?
do you do with that?
Yeah,
I don't know, right? Vinegar? Vinegar is
Yeah.
like a go-to.
Probably.
Vinegar is pretty safe.
That's if they had it. Or they'd probably be boiling everything, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. to
Keep a
make it
pot
boil.
boiling and just drop all your
Just drop it all in?
utensils in there. Yeah.
I mean, when you go to a dentist, they use an autoclave, and that's what it's called. And
Yeah.
all those machine that you have to use, and it just cleans it all, gets rid of the germs.
So you have the energy balls. Do you put them in like a saran wrap type deal? And
Yeah,
then,
I have full packaging, labels and everything like that are
Nice.
that are all done and regulated.
is it just like a Facebook thing? Is that
Now,
how you
yeah,
advertise?
I used to do it a lot more. Obviously, since all of this is broken out 2 years ago, I've kind of took a step back. A lot of clients that I would have had before aren't even
Yeah.
open anymore.
So is it just kind of like a here and there type
Now I
deal?
just kind
or?
of I have a lot of private clients
Yeah.
who just order, and
You
that's
say-
kind of just what I do with it now.
I never realized. I learned a lot in this last year, like how you can make commercials, like your own commercials, and advertise them to people. So, like, I was debating on just getting hold of people, because people who are like struggling and whatnot, they don't understand. Like, if you know someone who has a camera and knows how to put piece the film together a certain way,
Right.
and then put an ad out there, it's crazy what you can do now.
Right.
Like
And there's
instead of
there's literally classes on how to use social media.
Oh,
like a
yeah.
lot of people are like, "Oh, you should take this Instagram class." And I'm like, "Are you kidding me? I don't have
Yeah.
time for that." I'm like, if I can just post it and it goes, I'm happy.
there's that
But you can use it to your advantage, and there's so many ways that people don't realize
Mm-hmm.
that we live in a social age. So that is the only way to really get your message across.
what's that thing called? It's like Skillshare. I've
Right.
used Skillshare for a few things, just basic stuff like computer stuff, and it's pretty crazy. You don't even need to pay money though. I mean, that's for more in-depth stuff, but
Right.
YouTube's amazing.
There's so much you can learn.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Pinterest is like one of my favorites. Just type in what I want. I use that as a Google search engine rather than Google, because obviously everything's pictured, so you can see things right away. It's
Have you ever watched The Matrix?
yeah,
Yeah. Do you remember when he was getting the downloads and he's like, I know Kung Fu now?
Yeah.
It reminds me of that, but it's just a lot slower version, you know? You just got to watch it.
you
and-
actually have to do the work to learn
It's
it.
not like a
It's not
boop.
instant?
Yeah, okay, now I know.
Right. I wish the world was like that.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's there. You can use that information that way, right?
If things were that fast paced, what would it even look like?
I don't know.
Be like, oh my god, what would even happen?
Oh, I mean, we'd obviously all be smart.
Yeah.
What's wrong with us?
No, everybody would just be like to what would take us normally 100 years in like a year or like 10 years.
Right.
I don't know what that
You could
world would
accomplish
look like.
so much in one
yeah.
lifetime.
Probably be like on different planets by now or something.
Right. Exactly. We'd already know what to do.
Yeah, walking Elon Musk's everywhere.
Right.
You know, I haven't done much research into this, but you know, like the whole cell phone deal, like the batteries, we're all kind of, it's sad to say, but we're all kind of pitching in on like child slavery, because they got to dig into these mountains, like bare hand foot, like little kids going in there, they're digging for the stuff that's in these
It's in the
batteries.
batteries.
So I'm like thinking, well, what about the batteries for the Tesla cars and the electric car? Like, where is all that coming from?
We have this conversation all the time. My dad always tells my son, "You definitely, this is the way of the world,
'Cause,
and
like,
it's
this is
all
just a
gonna
little
be, This
bit.
is tiny,
Like, you know
right?
how
but
much-
the battery
yeah.
is big that you would find
Maybe-
in like a Tesla."
But I'm not like I don't know. You know?
I don't know that much about it either, but I
neither.
keep saying to my son, I'm like,
Maybe they're
honestly,
using something that
they're not
a
gonna last
digger's-
forever.
Yeah, maybe it's something that's, because man, that would be a lot of labor.
a lot of juice to put into that for sure. I
yeah,
agree. I agree. I don't think that's really probably how they do it.
Probably not, because that would change my whole perspective on a guy like Elon Musk. Be like, bro, oh my god, that's dark.
Right.
Also, we can drive around. Like, why don't we just use hydrogen? Like, you know, like those hydrogen fuel cells. It's
Right.
just water.
Water.
And they add electricity to it, and it splits that molecule in half, and then boom, the oxygen goes in the air, and
There's
then your
cleaner
hydrogen.
ways, definitely
yeah,
cleaner than a battery.
hydrogen. It's so easy to do. Like, there's videos on YouTube where people just take like a cell, they put it in the water, they turn it on, and the hydrogen comes off. You can make like a torch flame with it and melt metals with it, and then as soon as it cools, you can like touch the tip of the thing, and it's not even hot.
It's not hot.
That's crazy, right?
Right.
Yeah, but that would take lots of money from the oil companies, so
I think there'd be
that's what it boils down to.
no balance.
Yeah, And also, like, a lot of people don't know, but all these plastics and all this stuff, you know, everything that's plastic comes from the oil companies.
Right.
So when you want to be a hippie and be like, hey, man, why don't we just use hemp? Like, we can make hemp plastic. Well, those big oil giants are like, excuse me? Like, no, we need to use oil. Like, who do you think you are?
Right.
Being all efficient, you know?
Well, I think there's definitely tons of different products we could be making.
I can't believe we're still using non-biodegradable materials.
Right.
It's
In
like,
this day and age, when we know that it's not breaking down, what do we do with it? It's not recyclable.
clearly, that's the oil companies saying, we own this shit. We want as much money for ourselves, and we don't care if we fuck up the planet or not.
Right. Exactly.
That's literally what it is, right?
100%.
Yeah.
But I think that goes in hand with lots of things. It goes in hand with pharmaceutical companies. It goes in hand with everything that we're doing in our lives, right?
Yeah.
So, I think we just turn a blind eye because it's convenient. Mm-hmm. It's convenient to have that plastic bottle, or, you know, it's convenient to have that plastic cell phone case.
You could actually make a bottle. Like, Booster Juice had their new straws. I was down there the other day, and I'm like, you know, you guys, you just haven't switched straws, right? And like, oh no, we have. It's just that they're I think they said they're like biodegradable. Hemp.
They break down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After like a year or two or whatever, and it's like, oh wow.
So there is a lot. There's a couple of water bottle
and they're nice.
companies
They're decent.
that do that too.
Those paper ones, okay. Let's just.
They get so soggy.
Okay, this is disgusting. It's like, let's shut down all the straws, right?
Yeah.
Like, no more plastic, yay. Even though it's 0.03% that's clogging up the ocean, when 55% is fish nets and the other 40% or whatever is just, you know, bottles and stuff like that. Oh, we're going to get rid of the straws and just everything's good now. It's like, no, that didn't fix anything.
It didn't fix anything.
And, so your solution is let's take trees and cut down more trees?
Cut down all of our trees?
Yeah.
Because we're not recycling.
Yeah.
We're not reusing any of these paper. We're not putting it into a recycle for it to be biodegradable.
Again, most of these companies that are getting the wood and all that are usually related. It's like Irving, because Irving's all oil, and then they have the pulp mill.
But then they have the pulp.
A lot of
So
those
they get both
oil
sides.
companies, yeah, they do that, right? So if you have somebody who's like, hey, why cut down a tree that takes 20 years to grow when you could cut down a plant that takes 9 months?
Yeah.
We could have straws that are biodegradable hemp. Well, then it's cutting into their industry again.
Right.
It's like, bro, like all that forest clearing, you could just stop it and then grow.
We could have fresh, clean air. More of
right?
it.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, my
it
God,
definitely
these-
it's that's
like
a hot
that-
topic up north, right? Especially here in New Brunswick, because we haven't it's what seems to be an endless supply of trees.
Yeah.
But it's so not.
It's been so difficult. Just people that I've known doing it myself, like in the summertime, seeing these little vendors, and people are just trying to get by. They're trying to build something, and then all of a sudden it's like, you need to get your vaccine, or you can't be here, or they put on these regulations, and then you can't even. It's crazy, right?
to do anything. There's no
yeah.
such thing as like go to a market anymore.
It almost
and
seems
buy
like
handmade goods, because they have to pay all these other people in the
Yeah.
circle before they get to pay themselves.
it seems deliberate, doesn't it?
Maybe a bit. I think once you've owned a business and you've gone through, there's no book, there's no guide.
Well, remember they said 2 weeks to flatten the curve?
Right.
Okay.
How many times have you said this now?
Right.
Multiple times, right?
So it's been 2 years. So, like, how long is it going to go on for? We understand, like, they've made billions of dollars from the vaccines, right? So where does it go from this point? Is it like, it almost, I don't want to sound conspiratorial or whatever, but it seems like they're just trying to make billions of dollars on the vaccine so they can repump that back into the society, so they can fix their debt problems. I don't know. It just seems, you know what I mean?
Right.
How are we going to come up with billions or trillions of dollars out of nowhere?
We're never just going to come up with it ever. It's
Yeah.
not going to exist anymore, right? They just have to find more ways. It's not. I don't think it's even about money.
No.
It's just about control.
It's about control.
It's just about control.
Because money to these people, the ones that we're talking about, it's like...
it doesn't matter
it's
to
a
them.
little, yeah,
because they have so much.
They can print whatever they want. It's like a little Monopoly game to them.
Right.
It just switching
We're just
hands.
the pawns that are in their game, right?
Absolutely.
So
That's what it is.
I think once you've owned a business and you've gone through all that and you've jumped through all the hoops and you've done everything they've asked you to do, and then you look at the end of the day and you've paid out everybody you have to pay, you've paid all the taxes, you've paid, all of your taxes on your building, your insurance, there's not a lot left.
No,
In any
there
business.
isn't.
There really isn't.
And they always they always like put these limiters, or they make it difficult for you to grow.
Yes.
And you see that same type of thing like on Facebook. If you're trying to grow a group or a page or something like that, they always secretly cut you down. You're like, I have these problems with Facebook. It's just another example because it happens everywhere. It happens with businesses,
Anything that the government touch.
Yeah, basically.
It will be limited.
It gets limited and compartmentalized.
Yeah.
So you can't disperse. You need to make some crazy thing happen or get some deal going where it actually expands. But they, like, this group that I've been having on Facebook for a while, all of a sudden it just seems like nothing, like the numbers are big, and then all of a sudden I can't invite people can't invite people, and it's like there's all these limitations on what I can do when it should be exploding by now. It should
be exploding.
It's like, what? So you got to find out your ways to get around things, and they're always saying like, well, you've been mentioning this, or you've been putting
they put you in Facebook jail.
Yeah, or they also do shadow banning or whatever it's called, where you don't even know that you're being, like, everything seems normal on your end, but really you're being blocked off from everybody. You're being blocked off.
You don't even realize.
That's wild, right?
Because on your end it looks normal, but on everybody else's end it does not. I have heard of it. Obviously, I haven't had that many followers, so I certainly haven't seen it personally.
Isn't that ridiculous?
But everything we have, though,
and
in the world is this way.
Little, like, I'm not, no disrespect to anybody, but is this like little millennial kids that are working in tech or IT or whatever, and they're just like, they're just
like, I just feel like doing this. I guess you see it in movies all the time too, right? You'll see like guys on the back end, and then they're doing this, and then they're like, screw this person, and then they're like, oh, I'm gonna shut this one down, and then they're like, have a nice day, and you're just like, what? Because it's their job, it's their entertainment, right? And you're just like, really, this is my life,
So what else do you have? Like, you have those energy balls, and then what else?
So I do protein bars and granola bars.
What do you put in the protein bars? Is it like a whey protein type
Yeah,
deal?
it's a whey protein. It's probably about...
So you try to get your hands on organic stuff?
Cleanest, and the cleanest, the least amount of sugars, and naturally flavored.
Isn't whey like a milk?
It would be, so it would come from cows.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I'm pretty sure you could source it, whether it's corn-fed or if it's grass-fed, right?
Yes.
It's hard to get it sourced properly, though, isn't it?
The health industry, something I've learned a lot over the last few years, the health industry is so unregulated.
It's lucrative.
I mean, you can put any product out there and tell somebody they're going to lose 5 pounds tomorrow, and they're going to buy it, and you're okay with it. It's
like the fish industry.
Right.
There's a series on Netflix where this guy goes into this place in China, and they keep everybody with cameras out, and it just shows like a slaughter of dolphins.
Right.
And they say that the dolphins are causing they're saying that they're losing fish because of the dolphins, but it's actually they're overfishing. And the dolphins are taking from more profit.
Whatever is left.
So it's like, no.
But it's a vicious cycle.
You're going to make them go extinct. Like, what are you doing?
Everything gets overdone, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We have too much oil.
And it's all like greed.
And it's just about money because it's greed.
Yeah. It's like, do you know
we can't just take what we need and use what we need. We have to have everything.
Well, we can. It just seems like
there's no limit, I guess. I think we all want.
Yeah.
We haven't learned to, we're all guilty of it. I'm guilty. I'm sure you're guilty. You're just guilty of, I want this and I want it now. And I don't care what I'm going to have to do to get it. This is what I want.
I guess when you're kind of like spoiled children of earth, where you don't have to go out and hunt your food.
Right.
And everything's handed to you.
It's right there. You can walk into the supermarket and be like, okay, which section do I go to get this? I'm going to go to the seafood section. Then I'm going to hit the beef section.
Right. It's
I'm
too
hit fruits
easy.
And vegetables. It's just, we've made it convenient.
Yeah.
We live in an age of complete convenience.
I feel like we need to take a few steps back and maybe structure it in a way where it could be half convenient and half work. Because if people actually did hands-on stuff, or like, I don't know, I feel like when you're talking about small farms or stuff like, I feel like you're onto something when you're talking about that. Like, I feel like if that were to be more popular, and if we were to stick to smaller, it would give a different idea of things rather than
100%. And you'd be supporting your neighbor no different than your neighbor's going to come and support you for whatever you have. I mean, back in the day, years and years and years and many years ago, obviously before even our grandparents, it was the art of trade. It wasn't the art of money.
Yeah, they didn't give a shit about money. It was about survival. It wasn't about that.
It was about, okay, you have furs, okay, I have.
And there's so much variety too.
And you just trade.
It was like good variety. It was quality variety.
Right.
It's not like
because it was in abundance. We weren't overpopulated. We weren't weren't using
Yeah.
more than we needed. You only had one house. You didn't have a house in every country.
And then you get these places like China where they have these massive places where people work and they're
Right.
pumping out hair dryers or fucking hair elastics. And there are people that go to school there. They have their kids there. They have a hospital there. They have their kids there. They get married there. They work there. They have school there. And it's like, oh my God, you don't even leave the
You don't leave
place.
the building or the complex.
This is crazy,
Yeah.
dude. Like, what the fuck is happening?
But it's just like
Do you know what
being
I'm
in
talking
jail.
about?
Oh, 100%.
It just goes on
It just
and
goes on and
It's
continues,
like,
right?
Oh my God.
But that's all they know.
Yeah.
So it's their
Oh,
way
man.
of life, and
Can you
it's not
imagine?
about what you learn or.
But it's all
being-
just to squeeze out as much stuff and if there's no quality in that, and that's why
They don't care because they're going to make tons of money off of it anyway.
Yeah,
Because they
and-
make it all
and
right away
once
when
again,
they sell the goods.
It all boils down to that capitalistic type, like that one guy who's running the company, or the small amount of people that's running it, where they just got to have all this big amazing stuff. It's like, why don't you just calm that down a little bit and we can divide it up for everybody else. So.
Right. Why do you have to be the only one who has
Right.
a house with 10 rooms?
And it's not about
we have a house with 10 rooms, but we have 100 people that live in it.
Yeah.
You know?
It's not about like jealousy or greed, or because there's all these discussions now that go on in the universities and kids talking about all this stuff. But I think what it boils down to is they're just trying to say, like, it's not about like equality or trying to make things fair and trying to make sure that everybody's treated equal, because there's people who don't put in equal effort, right?
Right.
But there's got to be a way to design the system in where, like, if you have people who have millions and millions and millions of dollars, why is there starving people on the
Right.
street? It's
100%.
so idiotic.
There's no need for
Like,
it.
why isn't
There's
there-
countries in Europe, I can't remember exactly which
Yeah,
one
it doesn't
is,
matter.
but they don't have poverty.
Yeah.
Everybody has a job in society. Everybody has a roof over their head.
Are you talking about? I know exactly what you're talking
I know.
about. I just watched
I don't want to
something
say
not even that long
I don't
ago.
want to say the wrong place
it's
because there's so
fine.
many places in my mind. But
Like Sweden or something like that.
yeah, or maybe it's Norway. I can't remember which place
Wait,
it is.
it's Norway or Sweden, because I remember I was watching this thing not that long ago where they treat their prisoners like with the respects, and they have the lowest crime
They
rate.
have the
no
lowest
rape,
job in the
no-
totem pole.
Yeah,
But they still contribute back to society, even though
yeah,
they've made
they
mistakes.
they
right?
do these terrible things, but they give them like second and third chances, and it actually benefits, because when you have a compassionate society and a compassionate way of doing things, that's how you make things more efficient or more quality.
Right.
I guess no, I had that wrong. Like, things are about efficiency right now. It's trying to get as much done as possible for you know what I mean?
Oh,
Just-
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at, depending on the job, obviously, but in general, the middle class works more now than they ever would have had to have worked before.
Aren't they in a weird tax bracket too? Like,
Yes.
where it's like, if you're just below, you'll do all right, but if you're too high,
you're-
they take such a
You
big
could be
chunk.
like $100 over, and that's it.
You get
It's
this
gone,
big,
right?
You get this big chunk taken out of you, and it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
you
it
know,
doesn't. You don't.
like-
It doesn't really seem to make a whole lot of sense. But they, obviously these things change over the years based on whatever government has been voted in and whatever laws get passed. And
So, see, that's the thing. That's why I want to do this, because I think over time, when you don't have a society that's censored through news stations and TV shows and these political debates and all this, if you have people having real discussions where real people are seeing it, it's not all like pampered or censored, and then you can actually start to make change in a good way rather than relying on these pricks who don't expose information. There's no transparency. Everything's
Right.
You know what I mean?
oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
we live in a world, unfortunately, that right now, if you don't say what the majority wants to hear, you're like
And that's-
the
I think
conspiracy theory. You're the crazy person. And you know what? Right through the whole thing that was going on, the whole pandemic, I was the crazy person out of the group of people that
Well,
I
do you remember at one point, if
because I
you-
didn't believe it.
Well, at one point, if you walked to Walmart with a mask on, everybody looked at you like you're nuts. And then
Yes.
all of a sudden, the
Now
narrative
you
changed.
look like you're nuts if you don't put it
Yeah,
on right
it's-
away, or if you don't even wear it
but-
all the way to your car.
You know what's really weird? Yeah, that's fucked.
You're
Like,
outside in the
there's-
fresh
yeah,
air. Why do you
there-
even have anything on your face?
It
Ever.
was really creepy to see those cootie police out and about with like M16s on their back.
Yes.
It's like, like sitting in the parking lot.
to scare people.
Like, this is totalitarianism. This is fucked up.
Yeah.
Like, this is crazy. This is nonsense.
I feel like a lot of people just they feel like they're so not safe because they've now been scared because the news is so censored on what they want to show.
Oh, yeah.
It's never different. Every single day, it's the exact same story from start to finish.
Yeah. It reminds me of like a really advanced version of North Korea. Because in North Korea, they constantly play the same documentary over and over
again.
It's wild.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like, it's like, I know Russia did that at certain points where
Right.
it was all about the leader and how awesome they were, and it's just like we're playing over and over and over again.
And I'm sure it's in many communist countries to really sum it up. It really is. If you have status, you're going to always probably have status. So your family's going to always have status.
You can keep talking. I'm just going to grab a coffee.
But yeah, I mean, everybody's living in a different world, right? We're all in the same place, but we live in a different spot. And it's really more about whether or not you want to learn more, or you just want to be sheltered and learn what's only there in front of you. And you're not really learning. Somebody's just telling you how you have to be.
Do you drink coffee?
No, I don't.
No. I've been on this coffee kick for a little while. It's just to keep me, I don't know. It helps me. I don't know. I don't even know why the fuck I've been drinking it.
Do you drink a lot?
I've been drinking
How many cups a day do you drink?
It's just because just doing like editing and then all this stuff that I've been doing online, trying to figure out how to do everything properly and I just want to make this thing like I don't know. I want to make it a big thing, right?
Right.
And coffee's just been, it's like a nootropic. So it just, I don't know. Like I'm like this anyways, but it's just, I don't know. Other than the weird anxiety that you get sometimes.
Right. So my husband, since the pandemic, he has to work from home. And he's like, I've never drank so much coffee in my life. He's like, when I need a break, I have coffee at home. But when I need a break, I drive down to the store and I grab another coffee and then I jump back.
Yeah.
He's like, and then I make myself another coffee. And I'm like, wow.
I know when I start feeling dehydrated and my tongue starts tasting weird. I'm like, man, this is too much.
You need some water.
This is too much. It's just dehydrating me at this point.
I think a lot of people don't realize. They just think they need it because it's a habit.
It's definitely
I mean, unless you need that caffeine fix. I don't drink coffee. I drink tea, but I drink herbal teas. So I don't really have any, caffeine doesn't affect me in that way. I could probably have coffee before bed and it would never, I just don't like the flavor of it.
So those energy bars that you're talking about, it's whey protein and like what else is like a starch or something? Do you have to cook it or heat it?
No,
or
nothing's
just
cooked. It's
compressed?
all made from raw goods.
How do you compress it or whatever? How does that work?
With your hands? It's all
okay.
handmade.
You just mold it.
Yeah, I have
cool.
molds I had made.
With gloves?
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
Of course. I wash my hands too.
Yeah, I'm joking.
I know, right?
There's those people who haven't been in the kitchen like at all, and they go to these fancy places and they think they know everything, and they see the chef back there doing stuff with their bare hands.
And they're just like, oh my gosh.
It's like, listen,
so my restaurant was open kitchen. So people, when they first started coming in, they were like, that chef is like cooking my food, and they touched it and they put it in the fryer and they didn't have a glove on. I was thinking, okay.
Oh, he's washing his hands.
Would you like to drop a glove into the fryer?
Yeah.
You would never want that ever. Believe me, this is how it's done everywhere in the world.
Yeah.
You know, you don't wear gloves on any of those cooking shows. Do you ever see them wear a glove?
Right.
No.
Yeah.
Do you wear gloves when you're in your kitchen prepping your turkey?
Yeah.
No, you don't.
Exactly.
You just wash your hands when you're done.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, people have, an idea of things. And then when they see something else and they're like, oh my gosh.
It's all about perception.
Yeah.
And belief,
100%.
I try to keep my belief because I don't know. I try not to believe things because I feel like it makes me a fool.
Right.
I'd rather just know it. There's some people who believe how a car runs. Like they have this belief in their head how it runs, but they haven't really taken the time to check to see how the gas hits the piston and pushes it with an explosion.
And how all the components move, right?
They just think I don't know. They just have this weird idea in their head.
I just put the key in and it turns on and it gets me where I need to go.
They don't think about it.
They don't think about it. There's no concept of how things work. But even when you break something, do you fix it?
Right.
Or do you just go buy another one?
Yeah, and then perception too. Like, so we're talking about belief, but like perception, like you can look at when things drop, you can look at it like it's falling,
right?
Or you can look at it like it's getting sucked into the earth because it's like a magnetic. Like if you were to look at it from like a satellite view and you're like looking at it on the side and you have something, it's just like bring it in. But when you're around it flat bottom all the time, you think you're dropping stuff, but really it's like it's getting pulled in.
Right.
But we always think of it as like a drop.
A drop.
You know what I mean? Or like when we're walking, we're always like falling and catching ourselves.
Right.
Like falling and catching ourselves.
Gravity's just pulling us around.
Yeah. That's weird though. People don't even know what gravity is yet. They have an idea what it is, but they can't even figure out what the hell it is.
Well, they do because they don't get taught it
Yeah.
anymore. These aren't things that we learn, right? Your basics of basic things.
Yeah.
You're just not learning it anymore. So people just have no idea, no concept of it.
They don't even think. They don't think that to go back and to go back and to go back. Everything's like face value and
Right.
Right. They don't. Yeah. You got to know the components, people. Right.
But the average person doesn't.
No.
I mean, like
It's sad
just
to
said,
see.
do you buy something new or do you fix it? Well, I mean, we always try to fix it first. That's how we were taught.
You know-
but I don't think we're taught that now because we're in an age of convenience.
Right.
So they're like, oh, if it's broken, okay, I'm just gonna go get a new one.
We see it. I think at one point there's got to be a point where technology gets so good and 3D printing gets so good, and just the availability of the blueprints for the 3D printing, and you'll be able to print food and print objects and build your own things. After a while, the machines will fix themselves, or you can have a machine that fixes machines.
Right.
And a machine to fix that machine. So it's like things never break anymore because you have machines to fix other machines to fix it, and it all just takes care of itself. And it's like at that point, it's like, are we going to get rid of money then? You know, like are we going to have so a house can be built in a day out of whatever materials around it?
Right.
Where
does it end?
Right. Yeah.
You know, when you look at
when can we just take care of one another?
The futuristic of watching like movies and things like that, and
a smart society isn't going to use money in the future.
They're not going to use money in the future. Definitely not. But what is it going to be? Is it going to be status? Is it going to be?
I think that's where people need to be careful.
What your name was before? Like, there's going to have it's going to have to be written out.
You'll have to.
So you can.
Yeah, you'll have to base society off of.
Do we base it on the past?
Maybe experience value. I don't know, or
I think it would be really tough too because you're going to have people that are
you're definitely
going to be super smart and want to learn how to do certain things, or you're going to have the mechanics or the engineers, and then you're going to have the people who are the nurturers and which one is better than the other? Well, one isn't really better than the other. You need both. You need it all to work. So how do you decide? I don't think we ever would live in a society where everybody is equal. Let's be honest. There always has to be a leader. So there always has to be somebody or some group of leaders.
Maybe not a leader, but somebody who does shit so well, everyone else just kind of uses that as an it's like how you're like if you have like 10 kids and they look at you like, man, look at what she does. She makes all of us food. She clothes us all. She does all this stuff. And it's like, she's like our God. You know, that's how you got to think. Rather than this self-appointed leader like Trudeau. I am your leader, little peasant.
Right.
That's the attitude right now. And that's not the way it should be.
But the average person doesn't think that the mom is the goddess of the home.
Yeah.
They really don't.
No.
You just don't, you don't think of it that way.
No.
I'm doing it wrong. My son is, I'm sure he's thankful.
Yeah, no.
But that's a great example.
I was trying to make some type of comparison. Yeah.
That's what we come from. So it's like, well, how do you look at that for real? I'm sure my son absolutely loves me and adores me. But do you think he's really watching me and being like, oh my gosh, she can do all this? He's thinking, no, I don't need to watch her. She can do it all. She's going to get it all done for me, right? And it's not that he's spoiled, and it's not that way. I've just taken the time to be like, I want to know how to do all this myself.
There's got to be a way to structure society and where like a lot of people think it's good to put your kid in a physically demanding thing, whether it's like karate or whatever, because then they can figure out how to control their own body and their mind and their patience and all that.
A lot of other things come with it.
Yeah, they can mold themselves. So there's got to be a way to structure society in a way where those values aren't lost, no matter how technologically advanced we are. Right. It's just we're like a little caterpillar right now. We don't know what the butterfly is going to look like.
Correct. I agree.
Right.
Yeah.
It's literally what it's like.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're just going with it until we figure it out.
And also it can go real bad too. Like
it can go. I mean, we're living bad right now.
There's so many nukes on the planet right now, and if some asshole jacked on Red Bull hits the wrong button.
They'll be like, see you later.
Yeah, I
mean,
asteroid's
even if taking us out, it's gonna be a man-made problem, right? So I think too, it's hard to know.
But that's the thing. Like, I'm glad you mentioned that because a lot of people don't think about that. There have been so many things in the past, whether it's like a volcano or tsunamis or an asteroid that comes by and just wipes us the fuck out, just like that volcano that just erupted. Look at the tsunami. I mean, the tsunami hit Vancouver, for God's sake. You know how far away that is? And it's just a little I mean, it was massive, you know? It let off like a Hiroshima bomb. Anybody close to that's fucked. Like, if you're too close to that, just the shockwave alone will
would
rupture
just
your
rupture
brain.
you. You'd be like
fall
all your
over.
inside would be
Yeah.
done, right? They just
you pop.
evaporate. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's
Just the shockwave alone. You imagine being that strong, it just pops your brain, breaks your eardrums, you fall over and die.
Yeah.
You know? There's that one in Russia. I don't know if you remember. It was like 2012 around there. It was caught on a lot of dashboard cameras because there's like no insurance. There's no like legit good insurance companies in Russia. Everybody has dash cams, right?
to track what's going on.
Yeah. So this asteroid came down, and when it blew up, it messed up. I could try and like not swear, right? It screwed up like 1,000 people. It
Right.
like broke glass. It broke their eardrums. It gave them concussions, and it was just a little tiny.
It was
thing.
just a tiny one. But
Didn't
imagine,
make-
I mean, look at
it
the size
blew
of
up
the
in
one
the
that
air.
totally wiped out the dinosaurs. I mean, you watch that all the time and you think, is that really going to be real? How do we
Well,
escape that?
The scary thing is that we pass through the Torrid meteor stream twice in a year, and it's usually for a 2-week period. And that 2-week period is like you and me going through the Toronto, you know, where there's like 10 lanes with a blindfold on and heavy
Right.
traffic. That's like us going
And
through
just
that
hope
and
for
just
the best.
running. Yeah, literally. And if we carried on the work of someone like Nikola Tesla and maybe figured out a way how to use laser technology or just everything that he was doing, we could literally like figure out a way how to deflect them efficiently rather than, you know, and just taking care of our mother, which is our planet.
I feel like, I don't know, I just feel like it's all the order of life.
Right. Well, I have to put this out there. Why the fuck is every god a male?
Yeah, that's true.
Why isn't it a female? I know India's got like a couple, Krishna or whatever. I don't know. I probably got that wrong, but like, think about it.
Not to
A
misquote
woman-
anybody else, but
A woman would literally give birth to the universe, or like they have the contraption to create life. So why would it be a man
why
again?
would it be a man? That
Why would it be a man? That's such
Why
a
would it-
self-righteous
yeah, why would it
thing.
be man that
you
created us?
asshole men. What the fuck, right?
No, I mean,
That's
it could be anything,
self-righteousness.
whatever you want to believe in, I guess. It could be man or woman, but
Wouldn't-
I think definitely
wouldn't
a
the
woman.
universe-
We joke around a lot. I'll be like,
Wouldn't the
did a
universe
man
be-
design this or did a woman design this? Obviously, if a woman designed it, it would work all the time.
Maybe it's
You
a
know?
conglomerate of both. But like, if you
But
legit,
yes, it would be both, right?
If
We
you-
can't have
yeah.
one without the other.
Uh-huh.
You can't, you know, just because I can bear a child, I can't have a child without a man. You need to have both. So
Yeah.
I feel like it was probably like a man and a woman.
you know what's
and
crazy?
put their heads together to make it.
Yeah. There are these creatures like octopus, which are like super intelligent. But the crazy thing about them is they don't get to learn from their parents. There's like this barrier that nature created. And if they didn't have that barrier, they would be such a supreme thing by now, because what happens is they have their eggs or whatever. Like I seen this video where they go so low in the ocean, they didn't think that they'd be able to survive, but they can actually go extremely low because they don't have a compressionable like lungs like we do and all that.
Right.
Like they're jelly, right? So they can take
And they can take whatever temperature that they're
just they can
submerged
be
in.
compressed until they're almost flat and they'll live.
Yeah.
They're crazy, right? So there's this video, and it's just all you can see, mothers with their eggs, like staying down there with their eggs, and the mother dies, and then they grow up without a mom, and they have to learn everything right off
right
the
off
bat.
the bat.
Yeah. So like imagine if something that intelligent, they're crazy intelligent. Like they
I
can
think there's probably more than just that species that is that way.
Yeah,
You
for
know?
sure. But you know, the thing is, like, they're so smart on their own. Imagine if they did learn from generational. Well, there's a name for that, like a scientific term, like a deer. How a deer learns how to be with its mother and
Right, and
you know,
follows
like-
it around and
like I don't
until
know
it's on its own.
What would
and-
you call that? Just parenting? I don't know.
I mean, it'd be the same as us, I guess,
or
right?
generational.
We don't really know what we're doing either, though.
guess-
But they have the same.
Yeah, it
They
would
do
be
the same thing. All like animals, or I mean mammals, whatever you want to refer to
It
them.
would be
they
like
have the same.
generational learning.
Right.
I guess that would be it, right? Yeah, like just to think. But the funny thing is like we're as a species, we're like we're kind of like the octopus. You know what I mean? Like that, like how we. I don't know. Like we got to learn everything as we go, even though that we're being parented or whatever.
Right. But there's so much information out there to take in.
Or-
It's just
yeah.
whether or not you're gonna absorb
Or
it.
I guess it's kind of like the. You ever watch that movie with the fuck is his name? this guy wakes up in a ship. They're traveling from one place to another, and it's like a 400-year trip. And he wakes up after like 120 years because of a malfunction, and they're in like sleep mode. So,
okay, I think I know what movie you mean. I can't remember the name.
and he wakes up this girl,
Yeah.
and then she gets mad at him, and then they end up like falling in love and all this shit, and they transform the whole ship and make it like
It's like a forest is growing
Yeah,
and
yeah,
everything. Yeah, I remember seeing it.
we're literally like that. We have no manual in this big organic spaceship that's flying through space. You know what I mean? And it's like we lose everything because of these natural disasters. Our manual gets wiped clean,
Right.
And then we're left over with all these pyramids and stuff. We're just like, who, when, what, where, why?
Right.
Like what the?
But
what's going on
now
here?
we have so much technology.
Yeah,
It's
but
not going to disappear.
We have this chance. Well, we're very fragile if you think about it. Like, what do we have written on stone? Like everything's paper or computers.
Right.
So it's like we did come really far, but how many times did we get like this beforehand? Like, how long would New York survive?
Oh my gosh.
5,000 years, 10,000 years? It would be dirt again, right?
Yeah.
So we could have done this 1,000 times already in the last 9 billion or 2 billion years.
Right. I suppose you're right.
Right?
It could have all been wiped out, and
Yeah.
we'd do it all again. I
And
guess.
right, over and over and over again. It's like, when are we gonna do it right, motherfuckers?
I don't know if there's ever a right answer
Right?
for that.
Maybe it's just
look
a-
at the last 100 years. We've so many, 100, 150 years.
I think it's funny when people say that.
I mean, it's hard to even think about conceiving that far back, but
Mm-hmm.
it seems like not that long ago when you look at history. But things keep repeating. We keep making the same mistakes over and over again. But as humans, we feel like we should learn from our mistakes.
Oh, for sure.
That's
But
what we teach,
I
right? That's what we
think-
pound in our kids' heads.
Oh yeah. Well, this time I think.
If you fall and don't, because you didn't tie your sneakers, make sure you tie your sneakers next time, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, that's a small comparison, but so many of those small things that we don't actually learn from are creating much
this
bigger
time we
things
should
that we're
get it
not learning
right.
from.
All right, we should get it right this
We should
time.
just be done with it, right? Enough of the bullshit.
I keep forgetting. I was gonna ask you about all the other things that you make. You make those the energy balls, and then the protein bars, and then you say granola bars.
A granola bar,
What do
yeah.
you stick that together with?
Everything's,
Is it like a syrupy type deal?
yeah, because you
Yeah.
would use like rice syrup or honey or maple syrup
Oh, okay.
are the main.
I've never tried that
Sticky
before.
ingredients.
And I think like I eat a granola bar every day, but it's always
Yeah, but you're eating a
think-
processed granola bar.
it's probably just killing my teeth.
It's just pure sugar.
Oh yeah. What are they? The Nature Valley ones, the dark chocolate ones.
Yeah.
I'm eating that almost every day, like one of those. Or then I'll have the ones that's just the trail mix. I guess I don't do that all the time, but I should just make my own.
100%. People should just
it's
make a lot of
expensive.
things. I mean, how
Yeah,
much
like-
time have we had on our hands
Right.
over the last couple years?
Well, even if you had, yeah, exactly.
How many new skills has anybody learned?
I mean, in an hour even, you could make yourself all these things that you normally would just buy. Now that I think about it, like, you could get so much
get so much
nuts
more
and granola bar and everything. And you
Out of
could-
what you're
yeah,
going to
yeah, yeah.
spend. 100%. And it's not processed.
Right.
So,
And you
I
choose
mean,
where it comes from.
Right. You
which
choose
is-
where your product comes from.
It's
which is-
awesome now with online because you can, like, pick an organic spot and get all these things from, like, if you want to make your own lip balm.
Right.
You know, you can order like organic beeswax and all this
you
other
could have
stuff
your
that you
own
can
bees.
get, or your own bees. Yeah.
I know a couple of people who have their own bees, their own small apple orchard. And,
Well, it's crazy.
And they make different things, and these things both feed each other.
Here's something to think about. If you have, there are these places where they have like flowers as far as you can see,
Right.
and all these things, and then they have their bees there, and the bees do all this.
They
thing,
pollinate everything.
right? But then those are genetically modified plants.
Right.
So is that wax going to be messed up?
Oh, 100%.
Right. Yeah. No one thinks
Definitely.
about that. So
And when you look at how
keep it natural,
how
dude.
things grow, it would be almost impossible in this day and age to have anything purely organic.
yeah.
Because
Unless you're-
there's so much man-made. and
Italy
there's so
would
much,
probably be one of the best places to go for that because their crops, I don't even think their wheat or anything's been messed with at all.
No.
It's been the same
But
forever.
that's entirely up to how a country
yeah.
wants
they,
to grow.
They
right?
have the highest age ratio.
100%.
Yeah. And I honestly think it's because they have a little bit of everything.
But
And
they're eating clean stuff.
Yeah,
They're
and it's
taking
like-
things from the ground.
It's like a
and
little noodles, a little this, a little, like, it's like a little bit of everything.
It's a good balance.
Yeah.
Whereas there's no balance.
And they're
here
climbing hills
whatsoever.
like crazy.
And there's not a McDonald's on every corner
Yeah,
there.
right. Yeah.
Or Tim Hortons.
God, I can't believe what Tim Hortons has become.
I know, it's
Don't
definitely
sue
not.
me.
It's
Don't
not that
sue
little
me.
donut place anymore. I remember as a kid being
Yeah.
like, "Oh, this is great." It was my first real job when I was a kid. I worked at Tim Hortons, and they still
they made the
they
donuts
made
and
the
stuff.
donuts. I remember
And
the
now you're
bakers
getting-
came in at night. And they made all the donuts,
when
and I would
I-
come in and see them all, and you'd be like, "Oh, this is great!" And
I was
saw fluffy donuts.
Oh yeah. Oh, I was a baker there, and at one point it was white. Like they were frozen. It was like muffins that were shaped like muffins. It was like the dough. It was white, and then you cooked it. But now it like already comes cooked.
It comes cooked from a factory.
Where before, even I seen this happen when I was there. It was like doughy, formed, frozen, and then you cook it. But then it came in fully cooked, and then you're just de-thawing it with an oven that's like a microwave / oven.
Right.
Like what the hell's going on
But
here?
all of the products for
This
Tim
is all
Hortons come that way
industry
now.
stuff, yeah.
Nothing's baked there in-house anymore. Nothing's made in-house. Everything comes from a package.
See,
And it
when
all
you-
comes from a warehouse, of
Yeah.
which they make it all, so that it's the same at every single Tim Hortons, and it just gets distributed across the country.
Yeah. When you chase the dollar, everything everything loses quality when you chase the dollar.
Agreed.
You got to stop at a certain point and be like, you know what? I think 5 shops is good enough. Now I'm going to let someone else, like, how dare you make 6,000 Tim Hortons? Like, I don't know. That's ridiculous.
I'm sure that's probably not even the correct number. I'm sure there's way more than that.
Yeah. Same as like McDonald's. Like,
Why do we need so many, I guess? There's nothing good in what they
Why
what
not
they
be
serve.
like, hey, you know what? We got 1,000 Mickeys now. Anybody else want to make a burger shop? Call it McDoodles.
Right.
There you go. You have 1,000 of
There's
those.
nothing wrong with competition. It keeps you
Right.
even.
Yeah.
If you don't
More
have somebody
variety.
to compete with, then you're not going to keep being innovative.
Are they ever going to put limitations on this whole entire? But that's the thing. The way
There's no limits.
This money system's made up. There's no limits
There's
on
no
anything.
limits. If you have it,
Yeah.
you're never going to have a limit.
And there's all these loopholes, and there's no end on capitalism. It's just hoard as much as you can.
Yep.
And that model, that's probably that's the biggest problem right now, I guess. I don't know. We just need to figure out a way how to make it more better for everybody, rather than just like we were saying about like the whole Walmart thing. Like, you shut down all these little shops, but keep the big industries open because the politicians are controlled by the money laundering that goes on there.
Right, because they get a tax break.
Yeah,
All kinds of things, give back and forth.
massive tax
Massive,
breaks,
of course.
and those tax breaks that they would have paid to the society, which would have made
But
it
they don't
better.
come back to us. Does any of
So
that
when
come
they
back
get
to the community?
right when they get those tax breaks and all that money, where's that money go? Oh, it just goes into making the business bigger.
It goes back into CEO pockets. Let's be honest.
And they take that and then they let it sit, and then
Yeah.
the interest builds. But what do they do with all that extra money? They loan it out to you, motherfuckers, and then you got to pay it back. And it's like, oh man, those bastards.
It's a vicious cycle, I think, 100%. But I think truly, if people really thought about it and they thought about how scared they were about everything that's going on right now, they really should just look at your neighbor.
Oh yeah.
Everybody has something to offer in this world. I know a lot of people will be like, this person has no, but everybody has something. Everybody's good at something. And I always think about that when I'm trying to explain things to my son, because he's, thinking, I don't want to go to school because he doesn't like school. And then he's like, I'm not going to college, university. And I'm like, you are so going to college, university. I don't care which one you go to, but you're going, whether you want to or not. You just need to pick something that you're going to be good at, that you're passionate about, right?
Exactly. That's literally the best thing you can tell somebody. You gotta try and get them to figure out.
Not look at school like it's school, because obviously none of us really like school. There's only a few people that love school, total brainiacs.
Public school is just terrible. I think that's the biggest issue why people hate it so much, because public school is just so terrible.
It's terrible.
Then when you have the there is no real good. There are some good homeschooling things where people get together, but it's not structured in a really good way. Homeschool is great. I mean,
is a cost to a parent.
Yeah,
One parent has to not really work, or
Right.
that parent works nights and then doesn't have
Things
nights,
like that are-
there's all, and you're still paying the same tax dollars.
things are difficult when you're on the bottom part of the pyramid,
Yes.
and you're just getting by. That's how they kind of get them with the public school in the
But
first
the
place.
majority of people are on the bottom.
There's this video on I think I have it on my page, like just my regular profile. this lady from Austria who's talking about what happened before Hitler got elected and then after and how everything happened. You'd probably really like it just to listen to how the whole thing went, like how she was saying everybody had to work and the inflation went way up, taxes went way up to like 25%. And then they're like, hey, you know what? If you need to work all these hours, 20 hours a day, 16 hours a day, we'll take your kids. And then they started indoctrinating their kids, and they took them like full on, like even like a little 1-year-old baby leaving there for a week at a time. It's like, whoa, like, so that's kind of like what happens with this government. And they take advantage of the overall majority, and they kind of like, you know what I mean?
Well, they're going to pick at people who are vulnerable, right?
Yeah,
we're
that's
working
exactly
so hard.
what it is.
We're sitting in the service industry right now where certain services can be open and certain services can't be open.
Oh, yeah. Can you agree with me that the school system needs to be restructured in a way where it's for the people, not by rule of the government? Because the way the public school is done is in a very strict, controlling way.
100%. You have no say, even though it's a public school and you pay for it.
Right.
Like
that's what I mean.
We pay for it, but we have absolutely
and
no
they
say
think
in
of
what
the
they
kids
actually
like
get to
they own
teach our
them.
kids.
They don't even give them respect as individuals.
They're not taught respect.
Yeah,
and they don't
they're
get
not.
it. You're not going to respect is not something that you can necessarily teach.
It's just sit down, shut up, and take orders.
Right. Exactly.
They're trying to make them little soldiers, and that needs to change. And that's a whole thing that's going on right now. Like I feel like we're on the verge of going from like this old way, because the way the school system is right now is like when our parents or our grandparents, they got beat in school. It's like that same system's in place. It's just they're a little less.
They're getting beaten a different way.
Yeah, exactly.
They're getting beat mentally, not physically. And let's be honest. I mean, some schools were probably harsher than others.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think we had the strap. Those things were gone before I was in school. But you got detention. You would have to write words, or you'd have to write an essay in your detention of why you're in detention. You really had to. You didn't just get to sit there and do nothing for it. But there's no such thing as detention now. That would be wrong. But at the same time, now we're looking at kids like, for example, my son at 12 years old had to decide to get a vaccine in order to play hockey.
Yeah, that's fucked up.
Like
what if
12,
that gave him a heart?
It's not up to him. It's up to the parent. And they were like, no, it's definitely up to the kid. I'm like, he can't even decide if he can go buy his groceries.
Wow.
Like,
and then if he
why
gets
is
a
he
blood
gonna
clot
decide?
or something like that, who's liable for it? They're not. It's like, I don't know. It's like,
I know it's
such a gross thing.
It's very gross. I mean, anybody who's not,
so
sitting
suspicious.
here thinking this is wrong, there's something wrong with them. You can't just follow in a line, because then you're exactly doing what they expect and you're in jail. Basically, we are in jail.
Yeah, literally. Is that what they look like?
Yeah, they look similar to that, yeah.
What do you put in yours? Is it like oatsy type deal?
Yeah, oats, chocolate chips, coconut.
I'm thinking I gotta start making these. Because I get a craving for stuff, and I'm always like I try to stay away from the chocolate bars and stuff like that. And
sugar's a dangerous thing.
Oh yeah, because it just screws up my whole energy level and everything. And
it feels good for that moment you eat it, and then you go plateau down.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people don't realize when you're not eating like wholesome food, things that are fruits, vegetables, and non-processed, then you're just not going to fulfill your body.
That's what they look like. Energy balls.
Yeah.
They kind of look Swedish, don't they? Like very sweet.
Well, dates are pretty sweet. It's a natural sweetener.
It almost looks like treats, those ones.
They are treats.
Yeah. Well, how much sugar are you using? Is it like...
No sugar.
No sugar?
Well, I mean, there's
from
natural sugars that will come
right.
from dates and, maple syrup.
So there's more proteiny ones and there's more like treat type ones.
Right.
Right.
I mean, you still have natural protein from your grains and whatnot that you need for your body to function, and the carbs, but it's just all in how your body's going to break down all of the sugars.
Is there anything else that you thought of that you'd want to make that's in the category of like that type of stuff? I guess using that's really awesome because there's not much of an expiration date on it, is there?
No, it's all cold base. So
that's great.
You just keep it in the freezer and
just keep it cold.
I mean, they don't last that long.
What happens if you freeze it, vacuum seal it, freeze it? It probably lasts a year at a time or something.
I would always say a
That'd
year
be
at
good
most.
survival food now that I think about it.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh, man. Yeah. Just make a shit ton of them. Like fill up a tote tub.
That might be a little heavy on the tub for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. But definitely much better than that candy bar you think is going to fulfill you.
Yeah, no, I'm thinking I eat too much granola bars. And it's just so much sugar. I'm like
Yes.
looking at it like,
Well,
oh
when
my
you're getting
God.
something in a store, it's in a box. So it's in a box. And how long does it have to stay good in that box? Because it's going to travel all over the country before it gets to you. Mm-hmm. And then you're going to eat it. Well, even though it has an expiration date, chances are it's probably still going to be okay because sugar will naturally preserve things.
Yeah.
Not in a good way, but it's certainly not absorbed in the right way into your body.
I'm going to have to put in homemade.
Yeah, it's just going to give you store-bought. I wouldn't necessarily buy protein bars like that.
No. I've tried them and they
Cardboard.
give me terrible stomach aches.
Yes, horrible.
I don't know what the hell.
There's
Like,
lots of sugar in them.
I just feel like my gut has to do the cooking, and that's not what I want. I want something that's easy on the gut. Are they like that kind?
Yeah, and there's like nut butters.
So you could use dark chocolate.
You can use anything you want to use. I wouldn't necessarily go and use Chips Ahoy chocolate chips or
No. Dark
I mean,
chocolate's
you
probably the way to go.
Oh, 100%. You're not going to have any sugars in it.
No. Oh, there's a catch here.
Always a catch. You have to sign up, put your email address in.
Get out of here. Jeez.
That's how
This
they
is
get
what
you.
happens when I try to show people stuff. You asshole. Go away. Go away. I need to get a keyboard for this thing. Or just another laptop altogether. I'll have one recording laptop and then one searching
One
laptop.
that you could actually search and work on.
This is just a temporary thing using the controller. It can be a pain in the ass.
It
Like
does
right
not
now.
always go where it wants to go.
No. Like right now, yeah. Sorry, people. Okay, I can put in. But these boring times where we're not talking much and it's not really on me or you, I could just skip real quick. Right?
Edit.
No big deal. Yeah, a little edit. I try not to do it too much because people like watching something that's no cut. It's like a new thing. Everybody just likes a straight.
Well, they're expecting everything to be live, right?
Yeah. It's the whole concept. I'm thinking about doing like a live one sometime soon. I just don't know how to structure to do it quite yet.
Have a little panel of people.
Yeah. Well, like
Different.
Patreon, I'm hooked up with Patreon, but I'm not fully like I just don't know how I'm gonna do it yet. I don't know what services I'm gonna provide or how I'm gonna go about it. But Patreon's a good thing. Like I feel like I don't want to give people ideas or give away your ideas, but if you did a Patreon and you showed people how to make those things, they'll literally pay you like $5 a week or $5 a month, however you
Right.
want to structure it.
Kind of like when
And-
you put the videos out on
Yeah.
YouTube, you get paid based on
Yeah,
people
you
viewing
could
it, right?
you could do like Skillshare ones, and people will actually do it. Like you put in like healthy cooking, and
Yeah.
you make your own little things. Just get like a camera, and
And then set up your camera to. I've often thought about that because
Yeah, you could
I'm in
totally
the
do
kitchen
it.
obviously a lot. And
Yeah, you'd be
the kitchen's like
surprised.
my comfort place. This last couple
Like-
of years, COVID wait has been like, oh my gosh,
Mm-hmm.
I have eaten and made so many different things, and now you're like, okay,
Yeah,
time
like,
to square it away.
don't
But
doubt yourself. A lot of people think like if you just do it a certain way and edit your video a certain way, it can look really good and be really useful to people, and people will pay for your efforts.
right,
You just have to do it. A lot of people are held back because they're scared to do it. They don't want to make that next step. But if you just start to figure out how to use a camera and how to use an editing program, and you throw it together, whether you do it live or pre-structured like Skillshare, people will give you money for what you do.
right.
Because like,
I've never honestly until you said that earlier, I'd never even heard of it.
no.
Skillshare, no.
Oh, Skillshare, yeah, you pay $20 a month, and it's people on there who I'm giving away free advertisement. It's $20 a month, and there's a bunch of things like you can learn how to paint, you can learn how to cook, you learn how to draw, and you just you get different segments in it from whoever's teaching it.
Yeah.
And if you're one of those people who has an account where you teach stuff, you get a fraction of that $20 that comes from the whole thing.
Right.
And then you get paid commissions depending on your services. Something I don't want to get too much details, but
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Patreon. Do you know Patreon? Do you know what that is?
Not heard of that either.
No. Oh, Patreon's like, oh yeah. So there it is, people. Those energy bars, they're pretty awesome. It's like a granola bar, but healthy, and you make it yourself or get it from someone like her.
Some people don't have the time because they're working so
Yeah.
much, right?
Yeah. So yeah. Oh shit. What was I saying? It was somewhat important.
Patreon.
Oh, Patreon. Yeah. So It's like a live stream deal, and you can talk to people, and you can choose different prices for certain things. You can talk to them live, and basically offer them like a service, like a teaching or whatever, and they pay. You could go on once a week or twice a week. It's like having your own show,
Right.
like your own cooking show or whatever, and you're
pretty cool.
completely in control of it, and you choose the prices and depending on how much information you give certain members and whatnot. But once you get into it, like, I bet you could make at least $1,000 a month just doing little bits here and there.
Right.
It wouldn't even, that would just be starting out. Like, you could probably make a couple grand like a
I'll have
month.
to check it out.
Yeah,
I feel
yeah.
like we all have to be very resourceful right now to make any extra.
A lot of people don't know, but
funds.
that's
And they don't know. I wouldn't have known about that if you never shared
Yeah.
it, right? Sharing is caring is what we should be teaching
yeah,
people.
exactly.
I mean, we all want to make an extra buck, but I mean, we all want to survive. I guess we're all surviving right now. You know, and it's
I
a
completely
tough
forgot.
age.
I completely forgot my lights. I keep the lights because it just gives like a cool, chill vibe. And I forgot to put them on. Oh well.
It's cool and chill now.
Yeah, they're pretty cool though. I love these things.
The LED lights.
Yeah.
My son is obsessed with LED lights.
I don't want to mention the name, give it more free advertisement, but it's like Jovi. I don't know how to say it. But they're the bars.
Oh, okay.
You see it?
Yep.
It's like a bar. Yeah.
Yep.
There's a bunch of settings. You can change like the color and
The
everything.
colors
but
and the
yeah.
mood of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like every house has LED lights going on it right now.
Yeah. It's sweet. It's nice. Yeah, you can do this thing where it'll play with the music, or you can set it up with the TV, and whatever color the movie is or whatever, it makes the background, like if it's like lush green, it makes it green, or if it changes with the scene.
With the
so
scenes.
it looks cool. But I was more into like just the slow changing. It's like, oh, this is nice. I like this. Some people put it like all on their ceiling rather than having like a big light, and then that's kind of cool too. And then there's like a setting where when you're talking, it like moves to you talking, but that just seems like I'm gonna have a seizure or something.
Oh my gosh. It's like having a disco ball going 24/7, right?
Like, why is this thing is too much?
I suppose that you wouldn't see it change too much if you weren't talking so much, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you don't drink coffee, just tea?
Just tea, yeah.
Yeah.
Occasional, I'll just have a coffee to have a coffee because I like a taste of Americano, but other than that.
Yeah. Is that like a espresso shot with like
it's
a
like
foam?
It's like a watered down espresso shot. I guess because it's hot water added to your
Oh
espresso
yes,
shot.
yeah. I
That's
remember.
Americano.
I remember making those working at Timmy's. Yeah, isn't there one with like cocoa or something? The Brazilians.
Mocha?
Yeah,
Or
there's like
chocolate and
there's a
espresso.
real way to make it. Like if you were to go down to Brazil, it's like
Right.
actual
You would
cocoa.
nobody would make it that way
No.
at a shop.
And it's
here.
probably so full of caffeine. It's like 400
You'd be
milligrams.
wired.
Yeah, because you're getting the caffeine from the real cocoa that's not processed, and
Right.
then the
And then the
super
espresso
concentrated
itself.
espresso. Those guys down there, their hearts are pumping, they're
Yeah.
sweating. Or they'd probably
But
be
they're
used
so
to it.
used to it, right?
They wouldn't, yeah.
It
but
wouldn't
me,
even affect them. But we'd be there and we'd be like you on drugs.
I gotta go to the bathroom.
you'd
It's
be just-
flying through me. Like, oh man, I'm gonna have a heart attack.
We'd be gut rut. Oh.
Yeah. Is there anything else that you were thinking about making?
I've dabbled in everything.
Or like, are you debating on making a storefront?
Probably not.
Are you guys abandoning that whole idea?
The only reason I would say is because of
Right
everything
now,
going on
things
right
are too
now.
squirrely.
Everything's too. They're going to tell me whether I can have
It's
my
too
business or
fucked
not
up.
have my business.
Yeah,
You know,
man.
and it's,
The people-
nobody should ever want to share something and be told they can
That's
or
a
can't
dictatorship.
do it, right?
That's
100%.
It's disgusting.
All these restaurants, like I currently obviously still work in the industry, but all of these restaurants who are saying it's okay to open and close. It's not okay to open and close. You pay your tax dollars, and you should be able to be open whenever you want to be open. Yeah. But we aren't living in a time when we get to say yes or no. It's just, okay, how high, how far, what time. It's a dangerous time, I think, to be a business owner.
I was wondering.
Would have gone from
He
any up and down of what you need.
Yeah.
nutritionally. I mean, I feel like when people ask me, like, what do you do? Like, what are, your habits? And if I say I'm going to the supermarket, then you shop on the outside of the supermarket. If you shop on the inside, you have that's where all the processed goods are, and that's where all the stored goods are.
I wish there was more, like when you go to the healthy section and you see like, it's just like a couple little shelves.
It's
like,
so small,
this
it's
is it?
sickening.
And it's like $8.
I always refer to it as the organic section. Obviously, everything isn't organic in that
Right.
section, but it's going to be cleaner goods.
Yeah.
But everything is super expensive. And it's because we live in a society where if you put the word organic in front of it,
Oh,
you can automatically charge double for that
that's
item.
a bad thing.
It's a really bad. So
That's
you
terrible.
absolutely have to look at the label, because even if it says that, and you look at the label and you're thinking like, how the hell is this product ever going to be
Isn't that
organic?
awful?
But people believe it, right? Because that's what they've been branded to believe.
That's like do you ever watch any other, like, do you ever watch podcasts at all?
A little bit here and there. I've been getting
Do you
a
ever
little
watch?
bit more into
Do you
them.
ever watch Joe Rogan's podcast?
I have, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
There's a girl he had on there, and she was talking about stuff that's in plastics that we eat.
Yeah.
And she made a book about how we're basically losing sperm count by like 50 or 60% or something like that. Like,
Right.
mostly in like America. I don't know, like all over the world too. But she said if we keep going the way that we're going, basically guys won't be able to pump anything out after like 100 years.
Right.
And that we're going into extinction, and it's because of plastic consumption, because it's so unnatural and our body doesn't know how to deal with it.
Doesn't know
And
what to
I'm
do with
watching
it.
this, I'm like, oh my God, really? And even
As
for
you drink
girls.
out of your plastic water bottle.
Yeah. So I'm like, I'm going to start drinking out of metal and glass. It's like-
Definitely. Why haven't we gone back to glass? Glass is something that
But then
can be
again,
totally recycled. Obviously,
yeah.
it's heavier.
PEI is so cool to go over to PEI.
Yeah, because they
it's
have
all-
none.
it's all
None of it's in
glass.
plastic. It's all in glass.
It's
It's been
nice.
like that for years and years and years. Though.
Yeah. So like the hemp plastic, there would be nothing in those bottles. Like,
Well, it really wouldn't be plastic, I guess, right? It'd be a biodegradable product.
yeah,
It's
there needs
existed for quite a while.
There needs to
There's-
be a new word. Well, here's the thing: you
Right.
can make 4,000 textile products out of hemp. 4,000. You can make TNT out of hemp. You can make bulletproof fucking vests out of hemp. You can make like so much stuff.
But we're not.
But back in the day, they were
Hemp was only saw as one thing, right?
yeah, well, they were demonizing it, and they were saying blacks and Mexicans were raping white women because that's how, like, hemp is still illegal to grow in the States.
Right.
Hemp, it doesn't make you high.
No.
It's just, right, but they did that because it has to do with the oil industries and
It's just regulating what they want.
yeah, exactly.
Who's going to give them the biggest bang for their buck
Yeah, and keeping everything oil is the bang for your buck.
for right now?
For right now. And it's like, man, it's not about bang for the buck. It's all about like quality and making sure our society is sustainable. Because right now, the way things is, like, we might be good for another 100, 200 years. Like, how long is that oil going to last? It's almost gone.
It's almost gone now. I don't even think it would last 100 years.
And that took millions of years
Yeah.
of trees and dinosaurs just slowly getting crammed into
But
the
when
ground.
it's gone, what will happen? Something out in the world is going to stop working.
I
Like
f-
it has, like, obviously.
I feel like if they do exhaust all those resources, it's going to take tens of thousands of years for
those to
go back and
build themselves,
Yeah.
replenish themselves. I mean,
maybe even longer.
I don't know the breakdown of the planet, but I mean, it all has its own layer of what it needs, right, to sustain itself. Well, if
Yeah.
there's no oil, obviously there's a layer that's not going to work anymore, and then
Humans-
what will happen? Will the whole world just start to compress into itself and break
no.
up? Like, lots of these things will happen because
yeah, I guess, yeah.
it's
There's-
disturbing the natural order of what is there.
I see what
Once
you're
you've
saying.
removed it all,
I know where you're going with that.
will
Yeah,
it just
and then
dry out? Like, what will happen?
To pump it in the fucking air. Take something that is literally the size of small oceans in the ground or
Yeah.
massive lakes and just burn it up into the air. It's like, huh, what?
Why?
That's so crazy.
Yeah, I know.
All because you want to go from here to there. Couldn't we have made like a railway system or something like that that's more
Well,
sophisticated?
existed. It was all there, right? It's all been there. All this technology and how to get to places is already there.
Don't you want your own
But you want to be in your own space.
don't you want your own automobile?
Right.
Yeah.
And not just one. Let's have multiples because
Yeah.
we need one for each season or each month.
Exactly.
Or each train.
at one point, this is hilarious. seatbelts were like a thing where it's like, I'm not wearing one of those.
Right. That was like in the 70s.
They had to try
into the 80s.
It was way back. Like, like when they first started, like the first car came out.
Oh, when they
like,
were first making cars.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. And they're like seatbelts. Like, because
What do we need that for?
people are dying left, right, and center. And it's like, seatbelts can save your life. All right. And then eventually airbags. There's like, airbags. What's air? You know? And man, it's like, why do so many people gotta get fucked up and killed before we decide
Before
to do
we
things
decide to
different?
keep things in a good way, right? I know it's
Humans are
we
so
have a funny way of learning
Trial
things.
and error, like a bunch of little kids in a sandbox with like fucking nuclear bombs
Knives and all
knives
kinds of things. And ooh, let's see how bad this one's gonna hurt.
yeah, literally.
Even though we all know what the outcome will be. I know it's a
Well,
crazy world.
Yeah, it's the thing. You can foresee what's gonna happen before you do something.
Right.
It's so easy. It's so basic.
I mean, you can see the options. You have door 1 or you have door 2.
Yeah.
Typically, there's 2 options. It's going to go this way or it's going to go this
Uh-huh.
way. There's very few things that you're going to be like, shit, I don't know what it's going to
Yeah.
be. Is it going to be in the middle? What's it going to be? It's
Yeah.
normally going to be one way or the other. And it's a gamble. Everything we do in life is a gamble. You know, you wake up in the morning, anything you're going to think about, you're like, shit,
Oh yeah.
what am I going to do for this, right?
Even like decisions, like trying to make the right decision. A lot of people get all wound up in their emotions, and I find like a good way to, like, just by doing push-ups, like 50 push-ups or something like that, or do a jog, or go out in the cold, like with just shorts on.
Right.
Just go out there and get yourself freezing. It snaps you right out of it. You know, like sometimes I'll just take a freezing cold shower, just because then all you can focus on is being warm, like trying to like survive. So it clears all that bullshit in your head. I don't know if you ever try it, but some people are like, "You're crazy, Nick. I'm not going to cold." Like, that's crazy. But if you're like, because it seems like no one wants to. I don't want to do it. I fucking hate it.
Nobody wants
it's
to do
terrible.
it, right?
But if I
you
get
feel good after you've done it.
Oh yeah. Well, if I can just stand there and crank it over and just blah, 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 and I get used to it, and then warming up so much better.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, it's kind of like doing anything. Like you look at the driveway and you're thinking, oh my gosh, I have to go and shovel
Have you
that."
ever heard of Wim Hof, the Iceman guy?
No.
No. Oh, he he does these breathing techniques, and he's able to submerge himself in like a thing of ice, like a tub, like a bathtub of ice, basically up to his neck, and he can stay in it for 2 hours without his core body temperature changing.
Right, because he's
Give him a little-
stabilized his breathing.
The breathing, and he hasn't been sick in like 20 years. He figured out a way how to, just by doing breathing and cold immersions, it boosts his immune system like crazy.
Right.
He even did a test where 12 students, they're like younger guys, like 20, 25ish, and that. Like, you know, within that range. So 12 of them did his techniques and 12 of them didn't. All 24 of them were injected with a neurotoxin that would make you like have diarrhea, puke, have the shakes. Like, it would just fuck you up real bad. So the ones that just took the neurotoxin, it was directly injected into their stream too.
Right.
They got terribly sick for like a week or something like that. Just awful sick, you know. And then the guys who did the technique, they didn't even... Nothing
didn't phase
happened.
them.
And it was just from cold immersions, breathing techniques, and then focusing with their mind.
Right, power of your mind.
And it's like, oh, wow, look at that. You can do so much with your freaking mind, you know? And people are so like, I don't know. It's like they're scared to tap into it or something. They're scared to think about what they could be.
It's because it sounds a little bit crazy.
And it sounds crazy, but it's
Right.
like, it's not, though.
But it's been proven over and over. If you look at any cultures that would have had like a medicine man or whatever it may have been, right?
Well, he's
Obviously,
legit, though. He's not one of those guys, because everything that he does is proved through science. Like, because a lot of those natural healers and all them, like, they're disproved like a bunch. But Wim, they can't disprove him anywhere,
Right.
which is freaking awesome.
Well, I mean, I use them as
He climbed
examples,
Everest
but
in
they
a sh-
have things that certainly would help people better than something from a pharmaceutical company.
This crazy bastard climbed Everest in nothing but shorts.
Nothing but shorts.
Yeah.
Oh, I saw
Yeah.
pictures of
And
people
then-
walking in Everest the other day. I was like, no, thank you.
It's just crazy. And then he ran in the, I think it was like the Sahara Desert or something like that. I don't know. Maybe it was in the States. I don't know. But he did a whole marathon without any water.
Right.
In the desert. And he went for I think he went for a few hours. It's blazing heat, and he was fine. Never nothing bad
Nothing
happened to
phased
him.
Would you imagine
just
if
water
more
retention,
people did that?
being able to control his nervous system and the way that his immune
Balance
response
his whole body
happens.
out.
Like he can like just by thinking or feeling or just having exercise, suppress or enhances immune response just
Right.
by thinking. And it's like, damn, like that's what we can do, but it's not easy to get there. You need,
it would be a
right.
lot of training and a lot of
But
work.
that's why like a lot of the most humble people that I know, they train. They might not actually fight physically, but they train and they do a little bit of grappling, but it's mostly like training and working out. And they're like super, they would fuck you up and kill you in like 2 seconds, but they're super humble.
Right.
And they're just like nice, chill guys to talk to. You know what I mean? Or like the people who's just on the computer since they're a little baby and they're all huddled up in their house. And it's like, I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You got to get out the energy somehow. You got to have an outlet somehow. You got to have it control yourself. But being stuck inside all the time, it's not going to get you anywhere good.
Oh my gosh.
No.
Not at all. Not in any shape, way, or form.
And so many people have done that too, right? Like this last
There's
2
tons
years.
of people who have not left their home for the last 2 years.
Can you imagine? Just living off of Skip the Dishes or DoorDash.
Like not left at all. They won't eat. They won't get anything. Oh, could you imagine just eating the takeout all the time? No. But they don't even go to the grocery store and pick out their own produce.
Yeah.
Like-
they'll do the curbside pickup or whatever.
They pre-order it all. Like I haven't once partaked in doing the online order.
Do you remember the
like
old
that,
thing
but-
they used to do when you go to you pull up with your little tag and ring the little
Yeah, but you would go get your own groceries. But they go up to the belt
That
and
was
you
so-
push them through the
It
belt.
was so cute. I mean, it's just like bing bing, and then the guy comes out, loads up. Thanks,
and
man.
loads it all
Give him
up
a
in your
little
trunk.
tip.
Yes, I totally remember doing that as a kid. My mom.
It was
would do that all the
quality.
time.
I always thought it was funny, especially when it was like freezing. It's like, we don't need to load up our car with all these groceries, especially when you're living out in the like country.
Right. Now you're
getting
looking at the supermarket parking lot like, okay, how close can I park? Because I don't even want to be pushing this shopping cart back to my vehicle.
Yeah, exactly.
And who's going to put all these groceries in my truck?
Yeah. Pretty soon it'll be like robots. You just bring your car there and it'll just you like do your order and then it just like dumps it in your trunk. That's not good.
No.
We don't want that.
No, definitely not. I feel like, too, when you look
Automation's only
at
good to a
things
certain
and,
point.
and hold them,
Yeah.
you get a sense of, okay, I really want this or I need this.
Mm-hmm.
And you learn to distinguish what is good and what is bad. Because I'm positive when you're watching people, like I'm a people watcher, so I like to go to the supermarket and kind of watch what people are doing. But when I'm watching all these typically
It's
kids
always good to
who are
observe.
loading up these carts for people, right? Because they're going through the
Oh,
list
yeah,
of
yeah,
what they want to
yeah.
order and they pick up like the bananas, and there's a lot of brown on those bananas. I don't want to get brown
Right.
bananas because that's just ready for banana
Oh yeah,
bread,
I
right?
see what you're saying. Yeah, yeah.
Like they don't know because
Yeah.
they don't have any concept of it, right? Or green, totally green bananas, for example.
Oh,
or like
that's
a
sad.
bruised apple. Like, what are you gonna do with that shit? You don't
Yeah,
want to eat
you
it.
pay for it,
but
yeah.
you paid for it, so you're just better to go get your own stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that.
That's how I look at it. I'm thinking like they're probably going to pick me out the worst package of berries. Where
They're in a rush.
I am that lady who's in the supermarket who opens the container.
Yeah.
I'm not taking that package of berries home and you move one berry and it's all moldy underneath and you don't know because you didn't shake it or
Oh
open
yeah,
it.
I know. Yeah.
I'm totally that one that you're scolding at the supermarket. That what the hell is she doing? That's me.
I don't mean to shit on no frills or anything, but that's why I don't go to that place because I flip over a few things. I'm like, mold. I'm out of here.
I know, right?
I'm gone. Might get a package of no-name chips or something. I'm gone.
It's well, I mean, and those stores are owned by other bigger box stores,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's No Frills, I think, in Loblaws. I think those are all under the same branch.
Did you call it like a Bach store?
Box store?
Box. Oh, Box store.
Box
Yeah,
store.
I guess that's what it would be. Yeah,
They
it's
would
like
still be considered a big box store. Costco, Walmart,
Co-op
all of them.
used to be a quality version of that, I think. Do you remember Co-op?
Yes.
Yeah,
Well,
it always felt like you're in an old warehouse that was like falling apart or something.
Right.
Like concrete floors and everything, and it's like, but
That's like my husband's favorite supermarket
yeah.
to shop at. I can't even go in there.
yeah.
Well, it's
You
not
don't
Co-op
s-
now. It's Foodland, I think
Yeah,
you said.
yeah,
I can't
Foodland.
even go in.
No.
I feel like everything is
does-
old and you don't know where it's coming from. They don't even have their own butcher in there, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, where is that meat coming
Where's
from?
it coming from? Yeah.
So yeah, no, I don't like to currently shop there.
Isn't it weird how things change over time?
Oh, 100%.
That's so
When I
weird.
was young, I lived in many places, but I lived in Ontario for a little while.
Like the
And-
outskirts or the inside, like
No,
the city?
my dad was in the military.
Oh, okay.
So we moved around wherever there was a military base a lot
Okay.
growing up. So I lived in Kingston.
Well, that's good that you get to move around because when I was little, we did some traveling too, and I loved it.
You get to experience
Oh,
life
man,
in a very different way. Like
going
I lived
here,
in
going
Europe
there.
as a kid, and
Yeah.
Europe is obviously there's history. So when
Well,
we're
just
talking
seeing
about
the architecture and everything is
100%.
so
Like what our
nice.
kids learn right now.
Yeah.
My son knows nothing about history. So previous to coming here, I was speaking to some friends and we were talking about what our kids were learning in school.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, well, they're not learning anything. They don't even know any of the basic history. They don't even know the provinces. Let's be
You
honest.
don't even teach them about money or finances or
Nothing.
investing.
They don't know anything about anything, right?
That's
like,
scary.
what the hell are they teaching them? They're teaching them to estimate. So here's what I told my son. He said, Mom, I really need some help with my homework. Okay, no problem. Let's bring it out. Let's look at this. I'm like, I can obviously do elementary work. This is so easy. I'm like looking at it and I'm like, okay, well, this is how you figure out the answer. And he's like, Mom, that's not how we do it. I was like, what do you mean that's not how you do it? There's only one way to get 2 + 2.
Yeah.
It doesn't go any other way. He's like, no, Mom, you have to estimate. I was like, estimate.
Oh, estimate.
I was like, okay, well, let me tell you a little thing about
Guesstimating.
estimating. Right. When you go to the supermarket and you only have $20,
Yeah.
you can't guesstimate what you got in that cart.
No.
You have to know exactly what
Yeah.
you have and what you're going to pay for. There's no guesstimation.
No, Ma. I'll let the computer figure it out, and then
You
I'll
don't
pay
want to
for it.
get
Whether or
you
not
don't
I
want to
can.
get up to that cash register and be like, shit, I need to take half of my groceries
Yeah.
away because I didn't know how to add 2 and 2.
Yeah.
Right? And this is the type of things that our children are learning, and it's scary, so scary. So I'd show them how to do different things, numbers on top of numbers. That's how you add them and subtract them, and it's much easier.
Yeah.
And then in your head, you can do it just like that. That's how you might look at it. And he was like, no, I would get in trouble if I did that, Mom.
That's so weird.
It's like, what do you mean you get in
Because
trouble?
if
That's
the-
how it works.
If the end result is
Is the same answer. What does it matter how you got to it?
yeah. And I know you'd know this. This is a big issue when you're in the kitchen world. There's so many people where if you don't do, even though the end result's the same, the chicken looks the same. If you gotta hold it and move it and cut it a certain way and a certain angle, if you don't do that, it's like you're gonna pay hell being bitched at. It's like, bro, I'm doing it. It's look how beautiful mine is. Look at mine and look at yours. But why do I need to do it your way?
Right. but we're being taught now that
Yeah.
there's only one way is the only way.
Yeah, though.
And there's so many different ways because people
yeah.
learn in different ways.
Uh-huh.
There's but kids who
I still think
who don't
today,
learn in a different way aren't getting taught.
even if you're in even if there's like a more sophisticated school that's not paid through the public system and it's done particularly the way the government wants it done. Let's say we start making like a new school that kind of like the way Elon Musk kids go to school. They figure out what they're good at. Like if a kid's good at drawing, rather than tell them to stop doodling, enhance it. Be like, oh, what do you need? Here, take some pencils, take this. I want to see what else you can do.
Encourage
Yeah.
it 100%.
Right?
Obviously, we're not going to want to encourage any bad behavior, but I mean, if
But
you're good
to-
at art,
to think-
then do art.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
To think that there's one teacher for 30 to 45 kids, that's insanity to me.
Right.
That is
Because
so
how
you're
can
not
they possibly be able to do
exactly.
that?
How can you tend to all those needs?
Right.
It's so idiotic.
We all have different brains.
Mm.
We think in different ways.
And they don't even try to like figure out like the way that the kid thinks or like like I was saying like art, like they would come over and be like, wow, that's amazing. How do you freehand that? You didn't trace any of that? And I'm like, yeah, you know what though, you're gonna have to stop that. I need you to. It's like, what the fuck, you're crushing my dreams here, man.
Yeah.
Like, I'm good at this, and because of that, I actually lost probably like a decade or more of stuff that I could have got done, and now I'm just recently getting back into it. It's like, man, if I was more encouraged, I'd probably already make thousands of dollars on some paintings. You know what I mean?
Well, you have to be inspired, first of all. And then when you get inspired and then somebody
so-
takes it away, you're like, what do you mean, right?
It's so easy to knock someone off track, too.
100%.
It's so
it's
easy.
everything we do is a mental game.
Yeah. And if
So-
you listen to people, too, let's say, for an example, if you started doing some online stuff with making some stuff, people love that. But if someone comes by and say, maybe you got like a shitty friend who doesn't care too much, and like, hey, you know what, you're wasting your time with that. Like, you're probably wasting money on that camera. Why are you even going online? That's not. And you go, yeah, you know what, maybe you're right. Shit. And then boom, like if you just stuck with it for a month, all of a sudden you're getting money and you feel good. You're making people happy. You're happy. You know what I mean?
What does it matter if you don't like it?
Yeah, exactly. Those people.
I think we are we're
You gotta keep
a sensitive
going.
age. You still have to keep going,
Oh, yeah,
right?
yeah.
I mean, you can't believe that everybody's going to love everything because that's not the world that we
No,
live in.
no.
You're always going to have people, or you're always going to have haters, I guess is the best way to put it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you just have to stick with what you're doing. Obviously, as long as you're doing something legal, you don't want to be doing
Yeah.
anything bad. But certainly just surround people around you that
Yeah, exactly.
think in that
And
like
don't
way, right?
don't take anybody saying like don't do that. It's a stupid idea. Like you can't ever take that and
There's no
and
such
hold
thing,
on
I
to
don't
it.
think,
Yeah.
as a stupid idea.
Yeah.
I mean, everything came from an idea.
Those people are
and
usually
they evolve, right?
Yeah, exactly. Those people are usually jealous, and you gotta like people who want to like see like genuinely see your success and like it. Like I like doing that for people. Like if I see you doing something, I want to see you do it better
Yeah.
and see you get better at it. It's like that's nice. You know what I mean? Like I want to see people grow. I want to see them do things better. And yeah.
Well, we don't live in a society that typically encourages
I
in that
know.
way, right?
Yeah.
I mean, or kids who have learned that way. I mean, you're always going to have people who were beat down too as kids, and then they have that same reflection onto their kids, and it's like a vicious cycle.
I
until
always
it's
say
broken.
break the cycle. You got to break the cycle.
Definitely, 100%. But we right now are surrounded by a lot of encouragement, so I can definitely see how mentally people are struggling.
There's a lot of people too who don't know what they want to do. Like they just don't know what they want to do.
Yeah.
But if you can figure out what you want to do and you're just drawn towards it, you feel like you have to do it, then you got to do it. You know?
100%.
And sometimes you might things change too. People think like, oh, I'm just going to be an artist for the rest of my life. But when you hit like 30 or 40 or 50, it's not the end of your road. So people are like, oh, I'm getting old. Like, no, you might pick up jogging when you're 35 and then all of a sudden like do these long jogs that people think are crazy. And it's like, that's what you do now. Or you might start drawing at like 35 and then sell your art to people or I just say like to people you need to figure out what you like doing and just try to create things
Right.
rather than just get into an assembly line because you're not going to feel good.
There's nothing good about
No.
getting up and being on. Obviously, we all need routine because
Yeah.
that keeps us balanced.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
But to be in that vicious cycle of over and over and over again and not have any inspiration
Yeah.
through that it's tough, right?
Yeah. And it's always good to have a side hustle too. If you got something good going.
Well, it keeps the creativity
a
alive.
9 to 5. Yeah.
Unless you have a very good 9 to 5 and you don't need the side hustle, right? That allows you to be creative. But
I hope that when your kid gets older, you can help your kid figure out like how to find what it is, because that can be really difficult. Like when kids, like I hope
trying
that
to
for
decide what they're
everybody.
going to do.
Yeah, yeah.
I feel like I've
And-
reinvented myself so many times, and I'm almost 40 now, and I think, oh my gosh, I wish I had a really just 20
and
years
and
ago.
I always say it's never too late. You
I
can
know.
still do stuff.
I always say that too. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm back to school in September, and
Well, that's what I mean.
nobody wants to go back to school. But I just look at it like, you know what? Obviously, I should have done this 20 years ago because it's right along
fine.
the line.
It's fine. It is what it is.
But I'm just going to do it.
Because if you start thinking like, oh, I'm getting old now, blah, blah, then you're literally going to start getting old.
Right, 100%.
you gotta
I don't think I'm
stay-
too old. I guess I wish, in hindsight, I wish I had just
Oh,
done
yeah.
it because I
But-
would have felt so much more worthwhile for the last 20 years.
At least
right?
you're doing it now.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. And I congratulate anybody who does that, because some people don't even do it till like 50 or 60. And they're like, man, I wish I did this, or I wish I knew this when I was 20. But it's like, oh, guess what, motherfucker? At least you're doing it now.
Right.
You know?
It's
And that's
hard.
awesome.
It's really hard to jump back into things when you're
Yeah.
in
Because
the
when you're
older
young,
category. I don't look at myself and think I'm old. I don't mean it like that, but
Yeah.
I'm definitely older than the 18-year-olds that I'm
Yeah.
going to be surrounded by, right? At community college when I go back in September, and I'm just going to think, you know what? It's okay. I've lived.
You could
I've
also
lived a lot of life.
Yeah,
in 20
exactly.
years.
You could get a motivation too, because you could like look at a lot of them and be like, hey, you know what? I could have been, because you like learn so much. You're not going to make a lot of mistakes that they did too. But,
Right, because
you know,
I've already made those mistakes.
Yeah, and you can learn. Like I always say to people, you want to learn from other people's mistakes. You don't want to do trial and error, because if you do that, you're not going to get anywhere. Like
Right.
someone like Elon Musk, he says the same thing. Like he literally figured out what everybody's mistakes were, and then just made a few on the way. Compared to if you just trial and error the whole way, you're not going to get anywhere. You're going to do trial and error for years. where you just like, look what this guy did, look what this guy did. And it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
You know, we all learn from each other's mistakes, and then boom.
It's great when you have like people, you're surrounded by people you
Mm-hmm.
can learn from, right?
Oh yeah.
Or you-
And then the ones that you're not surrounded by, you can just find them online.
Right.
Watch videos, read books, or you know.
There's blogs. There's you
Yeah,
can
yeah,
find
exactly.
anything you want to really learn online.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's exciting, right? We could be living in an exciting world soon, hopefully.
Yeah, I feel like things. I don't know. Like it seems like things are gonna get better. It's hard to say how things are gonna go from here. I don't know. It seems like people are gonna get like, you know, it's crazy. The fact that it went from nothing to now there's all those truckers. Like 500,000 people are involved.
Right.
That's
From
a half a
everywhere
million?
across the whole country.
That's
And it was
wild.
only started in one spot when
I
it
love
started.
that. It's awesome.
So it's a great feeling to feel like people want to come together.
I seen Jordan. Do you know who Jordan Peterson is?
No.
No. Okay. He's a part of the big discussion. He's like university professor in Canada, and when they're going on about the she ordeal about like they them
Oh, right.
thee thy thor the blah
Right.
blah blah.
I totally would get it wrong every time.
You know, they're trying to like pass a law where you could basically incriminate somebody by saying like, if you don't respect their authority or if you don't respect their choice, and if you say him or her and you don't respect it, it's like you could actually get penalized for it. And that's taking away freedom of speech. That's going down
100%.
that's going down a bad path.
Right.
And he's trying to explain to all of them, you know, and he got all this. Now he makes so much money just from YouTube videos and stuff. I don't even think he really does professor work anymore, or like in the school, just because he's like he just talks about all these things going on. But I seen him talking about like the trucker thing. He's like, wow, this is crazy. Like just in a few days, you go from this to this.
Yeah.
And I think now I think the whole point of it is the people are just taking back their power and saying, you know what, Trudeau,
I can do this.
Yeah,
And so
exactly.
can you.
It's
It's pretty
like,
much what it's saying, right?
We are the backbone to the country, if you want to call it that. We bring everything. Everything comes on a truck. And then if you say to them, you need to get stuck with this stuff
Right.
that has only been around, because, you know, until it's approved, it's usually 7 to 10 years. Not 2. So if you say
And
like,
it wasn't
no,
it wasn't even approved.
yeah, exactly.
at first.
It's creepy.
And it wasn't tested on
It's
anything.
fucking creepy.
We're the test dummies.
Exactly. So, yeah, to say
To say you have to have it, I think is
to fire all those people,
Right.
that's so many people. Where are you going to find all those drivers all of a sudden?
you're not going to, which means goods
It's
aren't going to get to where you want
insanity.
them to be, and that convenience
and
disappears.
then when that happens, all of a sudden, let's say 25% of stuff is gone.
Right.
So that means that the ratio, 25%, everybody's going to have to start skimping, or everybody's going to go and overbuy and the shelves are going to be empty.
Right.
And then when that happens, inflation goes up. So all of a
100%.
sudden,
It's a vicious cycle.
yeah, and it just gets worse and worse. Milk's $10 a liter. That's literally what will happen. Like, it's just a catastrophe.
Right.
Like, just firing 12% or whatever they said it would be, which is like 120,000 truck drivers.
It's such a huge impact.
That's
but then when
100
you fire them, what are they going to do?
Yeah, like
What, like
then they're gonna go in debt, and then they're gonna need to borrow money, and then
EI for a little
right,
bit,
and then all the
and-
prices go up, the milk and everything
Why?
goes way up.
What is the point of it?
Fuck is that gonna do?
yeah, it doesn't
No.
do anything.
No.
It doesn't benefit
So
anybody.
they're like, screw you, we're gonna jam everything up, and I hope it works. A lot of
hope
people
so.
I talk to, they think that it's just silly, and you know, most protesting literally does nothing. What like, you know,
Protesting isn't to do something physically.
Right.
Typically, it's just to
well,
make people
it
aware.
does-
That's what it's
right,
designed for,
yeah,
right?
It does help, but like, this is what I was thinking the other day. If you have I don't know, like 5,000-10,000 people in a big city like Toronto all gathering up on the street, I'm looking at all that, I'm like, man, they gather a lot of money from donations, they do a lot of fundraising, and they get all this crazy stuff that happens. It's like, man, all you people, if you just put your brains together, you could literally take all the money you just got, go build a facility, and start your own structure on how to fix things,
Right.
and start making your own law and order. It's like, if you don't like the way they're doing it, create your own.
Right.
You know, but
it's
people-
no different. Somebody I read today, a friend of mine was like, why don't we just all these teachers that got fired because they wouldn't get jabbed.
Create your own.
Why don't they just make their own school? And we have some schools that are, but they're still
Because
categorized
that's
as
the funding.
private schools. So
Oh, yeah.
what
And the
do I
funding
do? Do I get to
issue-
pay less tax that I would have paid for
Yeah.
that school so that I can pay for my child to go to this school? No, 100%
So
not, right?
whoever's in control of those dollars and making decisions, like I feel like it needs to. I don't know. Like I said, like I think we're on the verge of just morphing into some type of butterfly. We don't know what it looks like yet.
Right.
That's what we are right now. We're not. It's,
I feel like we could also have communities that are regrown. Like we purchase big pieces of land. Like
Mm-hmm.
I talked to Tony a lot about before we stopped working at the bank. But we used to talk about it. We'd be like, okay, where are we going to go?
yeah.
We're going to take a whole bunch of people who know how to do all these different things.
And
And we're
make
just
a
going to
nuisance.
go live in our own place.
Yeah.
And
That's why I was trying to make a commune online because I'm trying to convince or just explain to everybody like you can find like a couple thousand people.
people
and-
migrate and go to all
Yeah,
different places.
yeah.
But now, of course, every piece of land is named to a
And
country.
that's another thing, you know.
At this point,
but
right?
that's a lot of those things they need to change.
Yeah.
Like just the whole way, like the way that the whole structure is done. It needs to be restructured. It needs to be reevaluated. We're working off stuff from the 1700s where is my little N word? Get me my drink.
Yeah.
You know, like that's the type of stuff we're working off of, like their old system. We need to like reinvent it or make it better. You know what I mean? Like, but this is all stages and steps towards that. I think.
Well, you hope you get towards the next thing,
Hopefully
or
it's-
is this going to start us all over again?
Yeah. Yeah.
Are we gonna totally
like a
backtrack
civil
and-
war that just
Right.
backtracks?
Be like, okay, no more of this. We're going to rebuild on how we want.
Do you get
it
what I'm trying to
structured.
say with like they can gather up $2.5 million for this whole truck organization thing? It's like,
It's
wow,
actually over 4 million now.
that's great. So you people can do all that. You can gather up all this money. It's like, well, if you can do that, why not make your own system and come up with an idea what to do with that money? Like that's the thing. All the smart people in this, something just needs to happen.
Right.
It's just everybody's kind of scatterbrained right now. They don't really know, and they put all this trust and stuff into these government people, and they're just so used to it being taken care of by them.
Right. And now they're like, okay, I don't like how it's being taken care
Yeah.
of. So we need to believe in something else.
Yeah,
Right?
we need to structure something else and take our funding and do other things with it.
Right.
Yeah.
100%.
Maybe this is just a part of figuring that out. Just starting at just these protests or these little, you know, a lot of times in the past it's been civil war. It gets so bad people don't know what to do and they just go into war with the government. The fucking troops come down and then
Right.
all the civilians and they just go at it, and then it gets rebuilt from that.
Well, I think that's what happened in Australia, right?
Yeah.
They had a lot of that happen already. I
yeah.
don't know what it's like now, but this was
Well, you know what's crazy about
time ago.
Australia? They did martial law there. Like, there's only a handful of people who do hunting who have their guns, but they took guns from everybody in Australia. That's why they were able to do the lockdowns the way they did, especially this last summer.
Yeah, they took everything away.
They're going
People
down
were in like
with fucking-
camps almost.
Yeah, well, they're in their house and they're only allowed to leave with certain, like, where they're going to the grocery store, and they had like little tags and whatnot, and then they're like tank type vehicles are going down the street, helicopters are flying over, making sure everyone's staying in their house. You're only able to do that if you take everyone's guns from them,
Right.
Because you disempower them, and now you get all the guns and you get all the control.
But people allowed it.
Oh, it's wild.
I mean, that's why it's so wild there right now. But I mean, they
Jeez.
allowed it for so long. If you allow that behavior to be pressed upon you and you don't stand up to it,
Yeah.
when is it ever going to change? There's no change. I kind of feel like we're living in a surreal world right now where you look at like movies, for example. And
yeah, it's like a
I
movie.
joke around. I'm like, you know what? We're like the rebels in Star Wars.
Oh yeah, literally. No, seriously. Yeah.
Exactly what I feel like. I'm like, oh my gosh, we're like
That's exactly
we're
how it is.
dying to make it all work, and we just have to have more people
like,
come and join.
Trudeau's like Dark Vader, and their whole system's
Yes,
like that.
100%, right?
And then all these non-vaxxers or the people who don't comply, they're like the rebellion.
Exactly. I know.
Yeah,
I keep
I've
saying
been-
to everybody, that's what I not personally, but in general,
I've been
like-minded
feeling
people,
like that. Yeah.
we feel like, because we're like, this isn't about a vaccine. It's just about control.
Yeah, man. It's
And
all
we
about
don't
control.
want to have any control. Like we want to have, obviously we need some control because That's the only way the world
There
works.
needs to be order, obviously.
But there has to be some type of order, but there has to be limits.
What I keep repeating over and over again is that no matter what we do, it needs to be based off of moral code.
Right.
And whatever laws there needs to be a fundamental moral
Well, that's why we
code.
have the Constitution. Mm-hmm. That's
And
why
it's been,
any of these
it's
things.
been violated
But
so
it's
many
been
times.
violated so many times. And I mean, people have died trying to fight for it over the last
crazy.
2 years.
There's got to be a way to like prevent it from happening. And yeah. It's crazy, isn't it?
It's a little bit crazy. It's a little bit crazy. I actually watched the senator, Rob Johnson, I think is his name. I want to say maybe it's Minnesota. They had a conference yesterday.
Okay.
He did a small conference. It was really long, but you could pick apart what you wanted to watch. But there was a panel it was done in a square or a rectangle, and there was tons of different doctors and different people.
I think I saw that.
Whistleblowers. I might have shared it with you.
Yeah.
shared
I
it with
think I
lots of
watched
people.
some
I
of
was
that.
like, oh my gosh.
I still have to finish it.
Yeah,
but yeah.
it was very long. You couldn't watch it all. You could skip a lot of it. But it was interesting. Obviously, we don't understand everything that every doctor is saying because I'm not a scientist, so
yeah.
I don't understand all of those words. And I'm okay to admit that. I understand lots of other things. But it was really interesting to listen to everyday people who were on the front lines being like, this isn't really killing people. This is what's really killing people. You know, nurses who have lost their jobs, doctors who have lost their
it's
jobs.
like all the people that
And
suffocated on the ventilators.
It
It murdered them.
They didn't need it anyway.
Like,
right?
you know how they kept them keep your train of
and
thought.
isolating
So,
them. It's the worst.
Keep your train of thought and everything that you're going to say. I just need to say this. Like, they're being isolated in these rooms,
Yeah.
and they have these things clung to their faces, and then their lungs become dependent on it, and then they take it from them, and then they just leave the room, and then they're in there gasping for air, and they can't click their button, or it's overwhelmed, and then all of a sudden their lungs collapse because they weren't weaned off it properly,
Right.
and no one's around to help them. It's like, oh man, can you imagine?
It's a scary world.
It's like murder.
100%.
Accidental murder or
There's
purposely.
I don't
Who
think
knows?
it was accidental. Let's be honest.
No.
I mean,
it seems
it was great to see somebody in power, a senator of this power, but he's always stood behind the people.
to try to find the number of how many people died on ventilators.
But
is
they
difficult.
actually they spoke about that. But they spoke about how many people who were the crazies, like maybe you and I might be looked at, because they stood up and said something different.
Well, no matter what, like Fauci, no matter what those bastards said at the very top, even though it didn't make sense or whatever, the narrative, if like it had whatever they said, they called them like the healthcare gods or
Right.
the COVID gods, like whatever, and it's set
and
up.
what makes this person completely qualified? Let's
Yeah.
be 100% honest to decide these
like
things.
Fauci and Pfizer. A lot of people don't know this. I don't know. Maybe you know this. Maybe you don't. They
heard a
had
bit
the
about it.
biggest lawsuit in history.
Yeah.
It was something that was like a ibuprofen or a Tylenol. Or no, not a Tylenol. It was like ibuprofen, like one of those anti-inflammatory type things. And it killed 50,000 people. And it was up in the billions and billions of dollars for this lawsuit. Let's just forget about that and just take our vaccines. It's fine.
Right.
And then Fauci, he was involved with like the whole AIDS program back in the day.
did. Yeah, I read a
And
documentary about it.
It seems like some real weird, fishy
Shady,
stuff.
very
Shady, super shady, fucked up shit was going on.
But
back
lots
then.
of people who would have stood up to him at the beginning of all this or stood up against
And back then,
that.
they just make you disappear.
it still happens. Don't think that
yeah.
it doesn't happen today. It happens
yeah.
today. So the senator actually pointed out that this was happening. And, these doctors were like, where's this doctor?
The world's run by psychopaths.
And
Yeah,
we're
exactly.
the crazy people.
Oh, yeah. Of
So
course.
it was kind of eye-opening.
Yeah.
to-
where were you going with that? You were talking about like all the...
Just in general, how he was saying that he knew that people were disappearing or that people were
Oh, that's crazy.
being murdered or
If you didn't send that to me already, you should send it to me.
Yeah.
If you can find it.
it was great.
So I'll
It was
watch
great to see. It was like, oh my God, somebody is thinking the same thing that I am. Right.
And to see someone who's actually like a official person talk about this
Right.
stuff.
And
It's
you don't
relieving.
have to be
It's-
official to
yeah,
talk about
exactly.
it. Anybody can learn anything.
Yeah.
You
It's
don't have to have a
alleviating.
status. However, it's great to see somebody with status who's
Yeah,
actually in
exactly.
government,
Yeah.
who's supposed to be there to work for us, working for us.
Yeah.
Even though obviously we're not in the States, but we tend to follow suit. Or vice versa
Yeah.
with what might go
So
on.
they're actually talking about like people disappearing and stuff like that?
100%.
Oh
Whistleblowers.
my God, that's fucking terrifying.
Yeah, scary. Military people just dropping off the planet, gone. Nobody just disappears like that.
No.
Let's be honest. You know,
Yeah, like even like in the summertime, like there were some incidences where people were going for jogs, and then we don't know about them for the longest time, and then a body shows up 3 months later.
right.
All right, like a body usually shows up. When a body doesn't show up, they probably got put in the wood chipper or cyanide or buried so far down in the ground you'll never know where they are.
Where they are in the first place. Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, it happens more so than people realize.
Yeah, well, it's just like the trafficking thing that goes on with people, like the trafficking that goes on. And I've seen an incident like this before. It was really freaky. One time I was at Garden Street, Irving, and there was this van. It had like younger girls in it, and there was one older woman who was like maybe 50 or something. She looked like a brothel owner,
Right.
And they're like 3 muscular dudes who spoke, like one of them was in Russian, the other guy's speaking Spanish, didn't even know an ounce of English, and he was like getting gas. And I seen these girls like crammed in this like one of those big travel vans, and it gave me anxiety. I'm like, and I heard the guy talking on the phone, and I was like, no eye contact, and I'm like looking aside. It just looked like one of
looked
those.
wrong.
Yeah.
Because it looked like something you might have seen in a
movie, like one of those,
right?
and I'm pretty sure it was one of those trafficking vans. It's just like the whole setup, like the brothel owner looking
Yeah.
girl with those big dudes and like the jewelry on him and everything, and the way he was speaking, and he didn't know English. And even the cashier person said that he was a little freaked out by the way he was talking and all that. And I was like, oh man. So yeah, that goes on. And
It's real.
Yeah.
It does happen.
It's crazy.
Just because you see it on TV doesn't mean it's made up. You know, typically ideas come from experiences.
Yeah. Well,
You
there's
know?
people who literally work for organizations that don't even know that they're doing it to people, or they'll go on these false dates and they'll
Yeah.
be like, yeah, you know, let's go here. Okay, let's go for a drive. And then boom, that's it. They wake up with they stick them with a needle and they wake up somewhere and like, that's it. Their life's over.
Their life's done.
They're in the trade now.
They're just gone.
And yeah, there's no trace of anything. It's like those poor girls that went to Epstein's Island. It's just like, that's crazy. That stuff's going on, and nothing's done about it. It's like,
But nothing's
a lot
really being done about what we're living
Yeah,
to right
yeah.
now, right? It's going on. It's real. I mean, Canada's very different than where
everything's
things are
like
going
hush
on.
hush.
But yeah, exactly. Because everything is narrated to what they want you to hear. So, I mean, like I said, I don't watch the news. I don't listen to any mainstream media bullshit. None
Yeah.
of that. I'm not interested. I actually watch news from other places,
Yeah.
other countries. How are they?
I'll skim
Dealing
over
with
it
things.
just to see, because like,
Like, I'm not devoting all my time, but
Yeah.
then I know what the real world is still living.
being able to pick out mainstream from, that's good that you can do that, because a lot of people don't. They watch the news and
Because they think that the news is.
they think
sit
it's
down on
God.
the 6:00 news. That's where everything's going to tell me
Yeah.
what's going to happen for the
Yeah.
rest of the world.
It's like, geez,
But it's not.
war, tyranny, torture, famine, and then you look out your door and it's like creak, 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 like a little
Right.
grasshopper
That's not really
chirping.
what's happening.
Oh,
Like,
what's
people are
going
trying
on
to
here?
say the U.S. is the same as us right now. They're not entirely the same as us right now. They're not closed.
Yeah, there's
They're
no
not
massive-
told they can open and
shit's
close
going right
when
back
we
to
want.
normal.
They've been back to normal.
Like I said to people before,
for a long time.
if it continues the way it is here, and if they decide to restrict firearms more and all these things, I'm probably just going to go to the States.
I know. I said that. I was like,
Or-
sign me up. I'm going
Yeah.
to Florida. I'm just going to hit the beach.
Well, unless I can figure out a way how to get self-sustained and live in the middle of New Brunswick somewhere around the hills, but still be able to come back in society, but live sustainably out there. It's like, that seems really difficult. I don't know if I have enough money or resources to do something like that, set up something like that. So it's
Right.
like, fuck, maybe I should just go down to a warmer place.
But it takes a village, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I keep thinking about. It's like, fuck, it's so hard to just be on your own. It's
100%.
so hard. Unless you have super advanced technology. Like, yeah.
But you have to have money for all those things. So,
That's why we're tied
did your
to the system
Did your
like that.
grandparents leave you all this inheritance,
Yeah.
and then you can be like, okay, I can do whatever I want.
Yeah,
We don't
exactly.
all obviously live in that world. We live in a world where we have to earn
Yeah.
when we want things.
Yeah.
And that we're so stuck to the system.
And it's crazy too. Like, people are super materialistic. And,
We I've all been there, done that. Like, you want to have those new shoes?
After-
you want to
yeah,
have all
yeah,
those boots?
yeah.
Oh, I can't just have
It's
one color.
okay.
I have to have 5 colors.
it's okay for the right reasons, Like, if you want to have quality, you want to feel good, you want it to be nice.
Yeah.
But you don't want it.
But do you need to have multiples?
Yeah, there's an unhealthy way to go about things for
Right.
sure when it comes to materialism. You don't want to be 80 years old in your deathbed with just a few people around you, and you're thinking like, oh man, all that stuff that I have is going to go to you guys or just rot in the ground. I'm not bringing it with me.
Right.
The only thing that matters
Nobody's
is the people
gonna
around
watch
you.
all that stuff.
Yeah.
Stuff doesn't have any feelings.
They just sell it. It's just stuff, for fuck's sakes.
Yeah.
You know, the most important thing is just the people around you.
100%.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's definitely, it's all about surrounding yourself with the things you would need, sustain yourself.
Yeah.
And we all need people.
You know, people like me and Nicholas had this. We were talking about this. Like Trudeau, these people who have all this money and all this stuff and all this power, they're not actually internally happy.
No.
They're getting false dopamine responses. They're like they're happy because the little kid got lots of stuff on Christmas, but his parents don't give him any love.
Right.
But he's got all this stuff to distract himself with and feel good about. But at the end of the day, he's not getting that love.
Right.
And that's what people like Trudeau are.
Right.
They're that
100%.
They're that kid that gets strong-armed all day by their parents, but he has all this stuff, so he feels good about it. Well, at least I have $1,000 hair gel, and I got brand new shoes all the time, and I feel good about that. But they're not. It's not like it's not.
There's no real happiness from that at all.
Yeah, it's not authentic, or whatever you say.
Right. No,
Genuine-
it's not genuine whatsoever,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, no.
No, it's weird how people look at how we should live. We should live with all these things. Like, I need to get that jacket, or I need to get those shoes.
I think things are finally starting to change.
Where people can live with less. I think we've had to learn to live with less.
Yeah.
And we're going to, in the next little while, the next couple months, I think from all the truckers not driving and doing all this for
Hopefully
us and
it's
standing
nice.
up for us, we're all going to have to be like, okay, what do I need to survive?
Yeah.
Most people won't know how to survive.
One thing I want to ask you is, do you see yourself going back to small business? Like, do you see yourself trying to do it again, like you and whoever business partner you're working with? Like, are you just gonna wait until things go back to normal? Like,
I mean,
'Cause
whatever normal might be, right?
right? Yeah.
I don't think there's any like waiting. I think there is.
It's just moments
like
and
for normal,
opportunity.
I guess. You're just gonna have to.
Not normal. It's like you probably want to do it, but you only do it if the setting's right.
Right. You definitely
But that's
once you've
why
taken risk and you've had loss, you take risk a little bit less each time,
Yeah.
right?
That's what I was suggesting to you. Maybe you can go about it a different way because online's like the new way now.
100% online is the new way.
People actually sell videos of just teaching people how to build websites.
Right.
And like if you
I need to know how to do all that stuff.
yeah.
I mean, I can turn on a computer, I can use a phone for the basics, but
I was
honestly,
thinking
all those things are way out there for me.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking like for extra money, like I can edit videos. I could go around all these like smaller businesses, be like, I can make you an advertisement,
Right.
and you can pay me this, whatever. Or like there's some people who I've talked to online where they'll go to like a $1 million home and they see the person's trying to sell it, and you go up and they say, hey, I got this drone, I can take this amazing aerial thing and make a video out of it, make an advertisement, and I can get your home sold. You just need to pay me $2,000 a month for this video to stream online, and I'll
Right.
make it happen for you. And then they make money that way. They make a living that way because they do 4 houses a month. They're getting like 8-10 grand just from that.
Right.
But you can do that, like I was saying, like you can pack it in knowledge about how to make certain stuff, and you can have monthly subscribers who pay every month or every year, and you're guaranteed income. And then you can also have those people who pitch you money for packet services, like particularly how to make one energy ball. It's like really sophisticated. It takes like 12 different ingredients, structured a certain way,
Right.
and then then they pay like $5 for that one video clip or whatever. There's so many ways that you can make money like that. You just need to build an audience and then
go from there.
Yeah. It's difficult starting out. Like
Everything is
yeah.
difficult though, starting out, and that's how you get better at things. Nobody is just right out of the gate going to be perfect at something.
Unless someone has a platform already built that you're friends with who can give you clout, as you call it,
Yeah.
give you like opportunity to right away. Like for an example, let's say if you had a small time business making just for an example, I'm talking like, let's say you made this really awesome energy bar that everybody loves. No one says anything bad about it. It's awesome. It's healthy. It makes you feel great. It helps with cholesterol, whatever the fuck, right? And then you go on like Joe Rogan's podcast or something, and then he goes, yeah, she makes awesome energy bars. Then all of a sudden, everybody wants it, and you have like 10,000 calls a day. It's overwhelming, and all you can do is just try to keep up with the demand.
Right.
Things can happen like that too.
Oh, 100% they
But
can.
when you're starting from scratch, it's difficult, but eventually it works.
It grows.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, prior to pandemic and closing and everything, I mean, I couldn't keep up with the orders. There was no stopping it. It was I had a hard time.
That can be frustrating,
in our
knowing how much you
province
can be making, and then you're
Right.
overwhelmed. It's like,
because I was at that point of thinking, okay, I need to have a distribution center.
Yeah.
How do I get this shit that's got to stay cold
and it's
to other
exactly.
places? But you have to have investors then. Once you're to
Yeah.
that point, like you're so big. New Brunswick is such a small province that it's not easy to get things in and out of it.
It's hard to structure it in a
So
way,
it's-
and then find legit people who are willing to work. Yeah. It's,
Right.
it's a lot to think
By
about.
the time you're done, you're like, I don't make any money.
Exactly.
Why am I doing this?
Yeah, that's right.
So I found it very hard. And then, of course, the pandemic happened.
There's-
And I was
yeah.
just like, okay, step backwards. Because there's no way during this time could I have built that the way it needed to be built to
Yeah.
get it that big. If I lived in a big area,
It would have been easier.
completely different.
because then you get all these people.
Well,
and
there's so many more,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
like, for example, delivery companies. I could find so many delivery
People who
companies
are
if I
already
lived in
doing it.
Ontario
You-
because
yeah.
people are already utilizing it. So the service is a lot cheaper.
you don't have to structure it yourself and
Definitely
start it.
not. Somebody else, for $100 is
just
going to be like,
boom,
here, this
boom,
is how you
boom.
do it. Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an understatement in
See,
pricing.
that's a good thing about society where things get automatically built like that, and then you can pay for those services where it's already established. Like that's the beauty. But having to start things from scratch and then organize the whole thing, it's like you're starting up like something like a cartel would be trying to form, or
Right.
like the mobs back in trying to sell liquor back in New York. They had to do everything from scratch, and it's like that's what it feels like. You're like, ugh.
But you
know.
because you're learning it all as you go,
Yeah.
right? It's all a bit of trial and error. And I think any small business is trial and error.
Oh, yeah.
As you're growing it or wanting to grow it, or maybe you just want to keep it small because you want to still enjoy it. There's pros and cons to all of it. Do I want to
Yeah.
make it bigger and then it's no longer enjoyable? But I would never be the system anymore. Once
Right.
you've gotten to that stage of big, you're not the system.
Yeah.
You
And you
know?
want to enjoy it. You don't want to lose, like, why am I even doing this anymore? You want to enjoy it. You want to make sure
But-
that people are enjoying you and
It's that
enjoying
middle
it. Mm-hmm.
stage of taking that leap to go from small to big, and will I make it as
Yeah.
a big time?
And you don't want it to get too big either, because then it's just like, it's out of your hands. I don't know.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, you do.
You
yeah,
do.
I guess.
I mean,
yeah.
that's how you make the money, right?
yeah.
And that's how you're like, sit back and everybody else is doing.
As long as you're not taking in
spot.
a shit ton of stress, and you can do it in a way where it's efficient and you're satisfied with it. Everyone
Right.
else is satisfied.
you
But
have
if
to
it-
have like that assembly line.
Yeah, but if
where
you
each component has to be done
Where
just so
it's
it works.
compartmentalized, where you don't have to build everything yourself and make all these little systems working. You
Right.
can just kind of embed
The
your
system
thing.
just works.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a nice, healthy ecosystem.
100%.
That's why everyone's having problems right now, because they're fucking up the natural ecosystem of how everything's running.
Right.
But I feel like it's almost going back to normal. Like, I feel like it's getting there.
I think we'll get there.
Not normal. I don't mean to use normal. I just
don't
mean
think, I don't think
it's
we're
gonna
ever
be
going to see the
a new version of it.
a newer version
Yeah.
of maybe what we want it to be, and maybe it'll be a better version
Hopefully.
of it than what it was 2
Yeah.
years ago.
Hopefully
You know?
everybody learns from this shit.
Oh,
Hopefully.
one can only hope. I feel like it'll still be like a 50% of people will learn from it and grow from it and be like, I never want to go back to that.
Yeah.
I mean, when you experience loss, you never want to go back to loss. Loss is never fun in any shape, way, or form, right? No. And we've probably all in the working society have probably all experienced this loss in some shape, way, or form. Like our kids are experiencing it, or whether your job was affected or not affected by it all. It's a vicious cycle, right?
I guess the message I was trying to say, like I was trying to say, like what you're not sure if you're going to go back into doing it that way, but
I definitely wouldn't go back to doing it that way
because it's
I
not
think if
efficient anymore. There's got to be a new way of going about it. So like if there's people out there who like doing what you're doing, but you're like, I don't want to get back into it because it's too risky.
Yeah.
Like it just outweighs the actual. You know what I mean? It's like
100%.
So
I would not do restaurants ever again.
You got to start
definitely not that, but
you got to start thinking more terms on the online world and shipping through.
It's like a huge thing right now. People they don't even have their business home.
If
like
you do,
in their building, they're literally stuff is shipped from wherever it comes from.
Yeah, like the drop shipping technique,
Yeah.
like how you don't even have to have this stuff. That's good to a certain extent because there are still things that
if you're not making the product, then that's probably great, right? Or if you don't have a factory that makes it.
Sometimes it's not profitable enough, and you're just kind of making everybody else money, and you're getting a little thing, and you're just basically like an organizer that keeps it all
keeps it going.
running,
Yes.
and you're getting a little percentage of it. But if you need to have like half of that stuff to your house and ship it out yourself, and it's probably better you do that.
Yeah.
Just have one big house one big room in the house dedicated to it, fill it to the ceiling, and then have this the other 50% of your stuff, because that's a constant thing. And then but that's the thing. Like if you want to start thinking about getting back into it, rather than doing it the old way, because that's not going to get you anywhere.
Oh my gosh, no.
You got to start thinking in terms of like internet, and then shipping and drop shipping and giving services through a lot of things like online interactions now.
Yeah.
Especially people are like stuck inside and too.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm
so you
not
gotta kinda
a huge fan of it, because obviously I'm a people person, so it's all about contact for me. I still live in that old age, and I feel like that old age is.
Oh, if you can
we need to hold on to it still, right? We
sure.
never want to lose it completely. No. It'd be like losing
That's
how
why,
to do things with our hands.
The whole entire metaverse, I don't like that at all. Like, put on, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
It's like, it's not even Facebook anymore. It's Meta, but no one's gonna go around and call it Meta. Hey, catch me on Meta tonight.
I know,
like,
right?
What? Put on your glasses, and then you're having an interview with like CEOs or whatever. It's weird. It's like they'll be using a virtual bathroom. They won't even take their glasses off. They'll just have a virtual bathroom that turns their bathroom into a 5-star bathroom.
Right.
And they won't even look at like the real
it's scary.
reality anymore.
It's pretty fake, right? Mm-hmm. I feel like we definitely live in a bit of a fake world right now, and it takes all the real.
I don't know
away.
what Zuckerberg is even thinking or what he's planning. It's like, come on, man. There's already a whole gaming system out there that does that. But it's like, for him to try to be like, I own the metaverse, I created it. It just looks so phony, commercialized.
But it's greed, right?
Yeah, it's so commercialized because they're offering people products that only exist in this digital world, which all it is just little pixels like the screen is made out of red, blue, green pixels. Like if you look real close, it's just a bunch of little lights that light up like this that are really small, and they correlate to look like something. So what Metaverse wants to do is basically just sell you a bunch of light that's moving. That'd be like saying you're selling people, like when you look out into space and you see the dust move around, you're like, I own the universe rather than the metaverse, and the atoms and stuff moving around, like that's mine for you to view. I only allow you to view it, so you got to give me money for that. It's just such a stupid idea. Like that's how stupid it is. Like comparison.
But people will buy into it.
They'll buy a $10 shirt, a digital shirt that no one else has.
Yeah.
Because they would sit there in front of their buddies.
To say that they have
That's so stupid.
Yeah.
God, can you imagine?
It's sad. It's
sad. What are you paying for? If you're not paying for stuff anymore, where's this going? I don't know if it's going anywhere good.
I'm thinking not, but I'm sure it's going to be the next thing my 12-year-old tells me he wants.
It would be cool to a certain point. Like, you could see what it's like to go skydiving or something. That'd be cool, but you don't want to get lost in that.
No, I think you definitely could easily get lost, right? You need to experience things for real.
Yeah, you need your senses stimulated. If you're being stimulated by this artificial
it's just
thing,
your brain. Your body's not really being stimulated by it.
Exactly.
It's like you said, it's just fake, right? We're all going to end up when I go to the beach, I'm just going to put this headset on and not actually go to the beach.
That's so free.
Why?
That's so free.
Why? I don't want that. You might as well just lock you up in jail.
Yeah.
Really? Because you're not any longer using your body.
Yeah, the only time I think I would want to do that is like Universal Studios and like the Avatar ride or something like that, where you hop on the dragon thing, you put a headset on, and then there's wind and all this. Like, you ever see?
Yeah, they have quite a few rides that are like that. You literally are sitting.
You're not
in
even
this
on
cart.
a ride, but it's
you're
like
not on a ride, but you feel like you're in a ride.
That's probably as far as I would go, like just for a little thing. But like, I'm not going to be on it every day doing that. Like, that's so silly.
Yeah.
You're right.
But young people are, that's all they know. Mm-hmm. That's all they're thinking about.
I guess when I was little, I got a Sega Genesis, and I found a game in the playground when I was like 5. Like, all I had was a Sega. It was like a hand-me-down from somebody. They didn't want it anymore. They got like the new system. So I got like the old shitty Sega. And I didn't even have a game for it. I found a game in the playground. It was like all like waterlogged and everything, but it worked. It was Sonic the Hedgehog, and like I was so pumped because my reality honestly sucked. But it was awesome to be able to like control something else and have this other world going on. That's what it was about. And after a while, it kind of gets old and whatnot, and you're like, man, I need to have like good, real, awesome experiences in real life, because you can learn stuff from playing video games, like cognitive abilities and stuff. But when it's just never ending, continuously, forever. Like, you dip into it here and there, it's all right. But if you're doing it all the time and nothing's becoming out of it, you're not getting paid for it, you're not
There's
doing
no
something,
point to it
then
all.
what's the point?
Right.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
100%.
Yeah. That's why I don't play, like, I'll play them here and there, like I have it, but, you know.
But the kids, it's no different than them turning on, like, YouTube right now.
Yeah.
They turn it on, and they're not even watching it. They're not interested in what's on it, but it's just on, plays over and over and over and over again. And they go and do that for hours and hours and hours.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but why? It's not stimulating in any shape or form. There's no excitement. There's no anything. You're not learning from it.
Right.
So why? It's just because that's what they know.
Right. Yeah, like we're saying, like
They're
when
just
we
surrounded by
first
it.
started, imagine what it would be like growing up, and all you see, like my daughter, like all she sees is cell phones and all this stuff, and it's just normal. It's like, fuck, how much of that's bad, and like I gotta figure out how much to limit her from it.
It's not an
And
easy task.
It's like, man,
It's super hard, right?
because I know the value of not having it. And imagine if I was a parent and that was just having a kid in 2030, and I don't know what it was like not having it, and then trying to figure that would even be more crazy because. But I'm so glad that I didn't have it before, and I know just by not having it is like real life. It's like, oh, this is nice.
But
and
you also don't need it.
Right. And you know that
Because
it's
you
just,
never had it.
it's an illusionary thing.
Right.
Right. But when you're in it since birth and you see it, it's not even like exciting to them, because before we didn't have it and it was like, ooh, this is exciting. But to them, it's just like whatever. And they don't even like, you know, it's really weird. Like I couldn't imagine like growing up and that's all that I see. It would be so strange. I feel like you're in a friggin' technical movie, like a sci-fi movie or something.
I mean, I see people right now with children and their babies and strollers, and they're holding phones and tablets, and I'm just thinking, why? Why aren't you just talking to them?
Right. Yeah.
Like, talk to them. They're humans. Like, they're learning from what they see and they hear and they're surrounded by, you know. And I mean, brings me back to my husband and I when we first had our son. We were so determined to not have like baby talk.
That's awesome.
We didn't talk any
I love
other
people
voices.
who think like that.
We were like, no, we're just going to talk in a normal voice. My
Because
son
then-
is probably one of the most respectful children
because
that people meet.
Yeah, because when you a lot of my friends that I haven't seen for a very long time, who are like that. I'm not gonna say any names, but like I seen a guy not that long ago in the mall. I haven't seen him for years, and his daughter is like, 7, 8 years old, and she's like, "Hey, what's up, dude?" I'm like, "Hey, what's going on?" Like, she's just so pleasant to talk to. She's just like a regular person,
Right?
And like, I never belittle my kids. I just talk to them like I talk to you. And like, yeah, man, that's what I do too. It's just the way you gotta be. When you belittle them or talk to them like they're insignificant, and it starts doing stuff to their psychology, you gotta let them know who's boss, because you're in control of the life and you're giving them everything, but you gotta treat them with respect and you gotta talk to them like a regular person.
Right.
Now be like, like be nice to them, but like treat them like a normal person.
You don't have to speak to them in a like a different
like an
fake
idiot or
voice,
something, or
you know?
yeah.
Even though they are babies and children, they are going to learn so much more. I mean, we used to find it really funny to teach my son at like 2 years old really big words.
Yeah,
That
it's
he
funny.
shouldn't be able to see, because it would just be funny to listen to them say
Yeah.
it. But then once they got the word, we would teach them what it meant and how to use it in a sentence. And then when you're hearing them when they're like 2 and 3 and they're using these words, and you're like, oh my God, this is so entertaining.
Yeah.
But it's good for them at the same time.
Yeah.
Like my husband and I did it a lot with our son. Not that he uses these words now or anything like that.
It's-
like one of his favorite
it's
words
amusing.
was facetious.
Fish.
Like totally not a word you'd ever hear
He'd say it
a
clear as
toddler say.
day.
He could say it totally clear. He knew what it meant. And he would walk up to somebody and be like, stop being so facetious. And he'd be so young, and you're like,
That's funny.
And people would be like, how does he even know what that word means? Because I'm sure at his age, I had no idea what that word meant.
Yeah.
Because nobody ever taught it to me or said it to me, but we used to find that very entertaining. And now when I tell him these things, he's like, you did what, Mom? I can't
funny.
believe that. And he doesn't understand why he would know the meaning of a lot of words.
Yeah.
But then simple things, he'll be like, I don't even know what you're talking about, Mom. I'm like,
Yeah.
shoot, maybe it didn't quite work out the way you planned. But I think in general, when you spend the time with people, you're going to get good back from it, right?
Yeah. So yeah, well
But yes, back to business. Someday, yes, we definitely will do a business again. We always had lots of ideas. I mean, the only way you ever
You
accomplish
gotta-
anything is to make goals and
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 you
have
gotta
ideas.
you gotta evolve and be malleable, or you gotta kind of transition with what's going on
around you. It's sometimes it's super hard, right? It's
Yeah.
it's a learned thing. You have to learn
being
how
able to adapt is
how
so
to
difficult.
adapt. That's probably the best way. It's difficult because we are creatures of habit.
And someone who's a good example of this is somebody like it's non-related, but it is someone like Eminem.
Yep.
How he has stuck with it the whole way through, and just he adapts and everything. Like, you can use that same technique with anything, you'll be golden. But he's a perfect example of that because he did it so well.
Yeah.
And still now, like, you know what I mean? Like, watching it just slowly, because a lot of people fall off, they don't stick to the grind, or they don't change with the time, and they lose what they have. But keep the longevity that long. So, like, if you can keep the longevity of your business mind and happen to change the models of it over time, then you'll do all right. But, you know, you don't want to get stuck in that trap of, I don't know if I want to, you know.
It's scary too,
Yeah,
right?
it is. It is.
I mean, like I had
Yeah.
said before,
It's hard.
Once you've had, success and then failure, and then you're like, oh my gosh, what do I do from here? I mean, it's not easy because it's not like there's a book
And you're so used to
that
everything
tells you what to do.
being the same way for so long, and all of a sudden things are just completely different. And there's, like you said, there's no pamphlet or book to say, like, this is how you do it now.
This is how we're gonna do it, right?
Yeah.
Like, you have to learn it from other people and
Yeah.
you have to put yourself out there. If you don't put yourself out there, you're just not gonna get it. You're gonna be stuck with this great idea, and somebody's gonna think of the same thing eventually and just run with it, right? So yes, it definitely, I think we'll venture out again.
That's good.
But yeah, I would never recommend a restaurant to anybody.
Yeah.
Never, ever. It's a tough industry anyway, even before COVID or pandemic or anything came about.
Yeah.
It's a tough industry.
So we could probably sum it up with that, right? Take care of your kids and shape with the times, right?
Teach them good things.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you want to sum it up? Call it that? Good?
That is it.
Yeah. Okay. That was good. That was fun.
We need a little fun now and then.
All right, people.